Yes, sir.
Screen ଦେଖାଉଛି ତ? ଠିକ ଅଛି. Okay. Actually, people are writing really well. ତ ମତେ ଯାହା starting ରେ ଲାଗୁଥିଲା କି କେମିତିଆ କଣ ଲେଖିବେ ପିଲାମାନେ, it's going really well. Okay. For example, Devchandan is writing very nicely now. ठीक ଅଛି. And so whatever changes I was suggesting, many of you have been incorporating. So that's really commendable. ठीक ଅଛି. बहुत ଭଲ ଲାଗୁଛି ମତେ ବି ଦେଖିକି, because ଯାହା ଯାହା ଆମେ suggestion ଦଉଛୁ, whatever I had told you, many of you have also incorporated them. So that's great. ଆମେ କଥା ହେଇଥିଲୁ ନା ଯେମିତି even content part ବି, skill part ରେ ତ ଚलो skill ବି ପିଲାମାନେ ଶିଖିଯିବେ, content ବି ତ ଶିଖିଯିବେ, skill ବି ବହୁତ ସାରା ୟୁଜ ହଉଛି. For example, some people they have started brainstorming and organizing very nicely, है ना. And content part रे भी से जो आम डिस्कस करथिले एंती कास्ट रे एंती डिस्कस करथिला एंती ट्रांजिशन होची कास्ट टू क्लास, मेनी पीपल हैड ड्रॉन दैट आल्सो. सो बहुत ही भलो भलो आंसर आसुची, दैट्स रियली गुड. गोटे मिस्टेक बहुत जन एथरर कालीर क्वेश्चन करछन्ति कि प्रिज्मेटिक सोसाइटी जगह रे, so they have written a few other names, maybe you were not able to understand this prismatic society एमती spelling, ये जन एमती pragmatic society that written like this, prismatic society, no prism रो आसी prismatic society. जो ग्लास रो प्रिज्म रे एमती गोटे सिंगल कलर देले जो मल्टी कलर बाहर ना, so that means ए मल्टी कलर गुडा होची मल्टीपल आइडियोलॉजीज और मल्टीपल cultural values. Prismatic society means any society which has multiple values, traditional as well as liberal or progressive. So the in the transition to liberal, it would have both of these characteristics. So that means diversified values, diversified cultural elements, diversified cultural ideologies, all of these. Now it's prismatic, not pragmatic. Okay. आज आम तीन चैप्टर नबू, बहुत बड़ बड़ सेमती नुह, नॉर्मल वुमेन पार्ट टा टिके बड़ अच्छी, बाकी सब गुड़ा छोट छोट, बाकी दुईटा टे छोट छोट चैप्टर अच्छी. We'll try to finish all of these. Then next class we will take up last part of Indian society. अल्प किसी part अच्छी society रे. Okay. भावुଥିଲି ଆଜି ସରିଯିବ ବୋଲି, but most likely ଆଜି ସରିବ ନାହିଁ, ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ଲାस ଆମକୁ ଦରକାର. ଠିକ ଅଛି. कार ऑडियो ऑन अच्छी, प्लीज टर्न ऑफ योर ऑडियो, म्यूट कर दिया. ओके. टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू रिज्यूम फ्रॉम women मानकर स्टेटस, सॉरी women रिलेटेड बेसिक कांसेप्ट आमे किछि डिस्कस करथिलु. व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन सेक्स एंड जेंडर स्टेरियोटाइपिंग, ये सब जिनस आमे डिस्कस करथिलु. सो फ्रॉम टुडे ऑनवर्ड्स, राइट नाउ विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम स्टेटस ऑफ वुमेन इन इंडिया. ये सब किछि किछि फैक्ट्स एंड रिपोर्ट्स, essay, ethics and GS1 paper you will be able to write. Okay, these are all very versatile points. So देखो women related ना बहुत सारा reports, indices बहुत सारा आसियो. The issue with those indices and reports are that ସେମାନେ कौन करे, ସେମାନେ जे कोनसी गोटे सिंगल एस्पेक्ट को नेकी गोटे रिपोर्ट लिखिए. ओके, सपोज वुमेन मानकर समथिंग रिलेटेड टू हेल्थ, गोटे सिंगल रिपोर्ट आसियो, समथिंग रिलेटेड टू एजुकेशन, सेमती कंबाइंड रिपोर्ट बहुत कम आसे. ओके, तेणु जोटा गोटे भल रिपोर्ट सेटा होची ग्लोबल जेंडर गैप रिपोर्ट, जोटा कि ए सब रिपोर्ट को माने सब एस्पेक्ट को, मेजर एस्पेक्ट को नेकी तार गोटे समरी टाइप रो से माने बनै छथि. सेति में एटा इफ यू कैन कोट दिस, माने ए गोटे जिंस मन रख देले यू कैन राइट दिस इन वेरियस टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस. दैट इज व्हाई आई हैव इंक्लूडेड दिस रिपोर्ट, ग्लोबल जेंडर गैप रिपोर्ट 2023 वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम और WEF रो ए सब फाइंडिंग्स अछि. But before moving to that, you should understand what is the meaning of gender gap, global gender gap. Gender gap कौन, नाम रू ही जना पड़छि मेल और फीमेल मान को भीतर जो गैप टा अछि, that is the gender gap. हमर पर्पस होछि आमे गैप टा को केते मिनिमाइज करिया, रिड्यूस करी फाइनली ताको हमति जीरो कर दवा, so that male and female would be at the same level. But right now they are not at the same level. So we are saying कि केते गैप अछि एंड केते कंट्री माने केते एक्सटेंड पर्यंत ताको क्लोज करछन, आउ केते बाकी अछि, और ग्लोबली केते एक्सटेंड क्लोज ही पारछि, आउ केते बाकी अछि. ओके, पता कथा होछि को डायमेंशन ने विल रीड अबाउट दैट आल्सो, चारटा डायमेंशन अछि. बट overall it means gender gap means the extent of inequality or differences between the sexes in access to resources, power, opportunity, decision making, etc. Resource, power, opportunity, decision making is of ଜିନିଷ. For example, think of resources. Economic resource ହେଇପାରେ, other kind of resource ବି ହେଇପାରେ, है ना? Power, power means here political power ହେଇପାରେ, power inside family ଏଟା decision making ରେ ଆସିବ. Opportunities, for example, different kinds of jobs. We have discussed about even glass ceiling effect. Glass ceiling तो यहाँ under ଆସିବ ना, opportunities under ଆସିବ. So the difference in access to resource, power, opportunities and decision making between male and female, and सेटा को आमे केते लेवल ले क्लोज करि परिचु और केते डिस्टेंस अछि एबे भी. So as per that ranking, India has only marginally improved from 135 out of 146 countries 2022 रे एतिकी रैंक थिला. ए वर्ष हमरो टिके इंप्रूव हेछि 127 हेछि. ओके, so that means हमें एबे भी बहुत खराब कंडीशन में अछि. 127 out of 146 countries. If you see globally 2023 रे हमरो global gender gap was closed by 68%. ता माने आउरी 32% क्लोज हवा को बाकी अछि. आ ए 32% क्लोज हवा को एस्टिमेट कराई छी 132 इयर्स लागियो एट द करंट पेस. जो पेस रे और जो रेट रे चाली छी डेवलपमेंट, से रेट रे आहुरी 132 इयर्स लागियो एंटायर वर्ल्ड को ऑन एवरेज टू come to level with male and female. Okay. Similarly, if you see in the case of India, it is 64% only. 64% of the gender gap has been closed. That means India has fared worse than the global average. Very simple thing. Okay. Now let's see, say global gender gap index को aspect को नहीं कि समाने एटा को calculate करछंती. तार major aspects हला, first हला health and survival. Health and survival component under रे दुईटा सब component अछि, life expectancy and sex ratio. ये सब जिनसा हमें परे डिस्कस भी करिया जतले women's health issues रे further हमें जिबा. Okay. Economic participation नो कोन criteria अछि? Female LFPR. LFPR कोन थिला काली हमें डिस्कस करथिलु. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of LFPR?
Labor force participation rate.
Excellent. Labor force participation rate means female मानकर workforce भितरे माने जति जण available अछंती for work. Okay, we are not counting maybe माने बहुत ही young age रो और बहुत ही old age रो, because they are not of the working age. Working people भितरु केते percent actually काम तांको मिली छी. They are the female labor force participation rate, LFPR under option. Similarly, gender wage gap. Wage gap, gender wage gap माने कोन? Can anyone tell me बहुत simply?
salary difference दउछंती झियो मन को कम जंते पुओ मन को बेसी.
Yes, ता माने होची कि for the same work one is getting more than the other for the same amount of work. That is what you should emphasize. Okay, all the otherwise if a woman is doing maybe a less economically rewarding work, then she should also get less paid. But katha same work mein for example think of any work for manual labor. Okay, you might have seen this maybe माने the rural area रे हेती तो देखिथिबो. आमे suppose जो hire करूछु workers laborers मानकू, you would see that usually people would say कि they'll ସେମାନେ देखिए कि suppose केही जण मेल लेबरर अछन, they'll say कि oh, today will give you 300 rupees for example. But if the for the same work any female laborer comes, they'll say कि okay चलो will give you 250 rupees. So this is the gender wage gap. Okay. Then educational attainment, enrollment rate, literacy rate. Okay. Political empowerment under कौन अछि? Percentage of female ministers and MPs means parliament members of parliament केते जण अछन. Now I'll give you, see ये सब जिंस you will also be able to find on the internet. जे कोनोसी coaching center material भी you will be able to find. Now why have I written this in detail? एते detail काहे कि लिखिछि? Can anyone guess? हम ପାଇଁ गोटा further use अछि यार, बहुत ही बढ़िया use अछि. Guess करो कौन ही पारे. अच्छा भाबो देखो हम वुमेन रिलेटेड बहुत सारा क्वेश्चन एग्जाम रे आसियो कि नहीं. At least every year you will get 2 to 3 questions directly on women, हला women related आसियो. बतन भाबो से आंसर को हम स्ट्रक्चरिंग करिया पे ऑलरेडी हम पाखरे गोटे एबे मटेरियल गोटे आसी गला कि नहीं. We now have a device for structuring all of our women related issues. केमिति हमें ताको डिवाइड करदा हेल्थ एंड सर्वाइवल ले, इकोनॉमिक पार्टिसिपेशन, एजुकेशनल अटेनमेंट, सो पॉलिटिकल एम्पावरमेंट एंड गोटे जिनस जोटा ए ग्लोबल जेंडर गैप रे नहीं सेटा होची सोशियो कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट सेतिर हमें पैट्रियार्की ओके सोशियो कल्चरल वैल्यूज ये सब जिनस हमें लिख परिया now through these 5 dimensions we will be able to structure any of our answers related to any of the gender issues or even women okay बुझ पारछ कोन कहूछ that is why I have given you it देखो बहुत ही short point only पांचटा point रे हमको structure करियार अछि so you will be able to remember this or not if you want you can remember this through this mnemonic hips कौन कौन अच्छी फर्स्ट अच्छी हेल्थ एंड सर्वाइवल देन एटा होची एच इकोनॉमिक पार्टिसिपेशन माने मन हेल्थ गोटे इकोनॉमी गोटे एजुकेशन गोटे पॉलिटिक्स गोटे और सोशियो कल्चरल गोटे ओके हिप्स so this will something which will help us to structure our answer बुझी होची any doubts in this no ठीक है then let's move on to the next part health of women in India you see many of these statistics these are very standard statistics that you should actually use point होची बेले बेले कोन कि किछि किछि देखियो न्यूज़पेपर आर्टिकल्स आसीथियो किछि गोटे रिसेंट सर्वे हेतियो है ना आर्टिकल आसीथियो आज ए सर्वे हेची ए एनजीओ एमतिया सर्वे किछि गोटे करछि तार आउटकम एटा हेची कथा होची इफ यू आर राइटिंग सच काइंड ऑफ स्टैटिस्टिक्स examiner may or may not know but these are some statistics for example census 2011 then SECC 2011 2011 or 13 नहीं थी not sure 2011 maybe okay socio-economic caste and something SECC okay जहाँ बेसिस रे हमें PMAY घर भी अवार्ड करू so SRS data NFHS 5 4 आगरो आसला 5 एबे आस एई सब एगुडा होचे स्टैंडर्ड स्टैटिस्टिक्स if you are quoting these statistics then the examiner would also know and you will get better marks okay so now let us see some standard statistics from sample registration survey SRS 2018 data ए सर्वे रे कुआ कि एटा गवर्नमेंट रो डेटा कि मैटरनल मोर्टालिटी रेट इन्फेंट मोर्टालिटी रेट और अंडर 5 मोर्टालिटी रेट इंडिया रो केते ओके so what is the meaning of these terms maternal mortality rate कोन होची 1 लाख लाइव बर्थ रे मैटरनल डेथ जतेटा होची सेही नंबरटा होची मैटरनल मोर्टालिटी रेट so that means लक्षेटा लाइव बर्थ रे जते जते सपोज because of any kind of mishap due to pregnancy or childbirth if any mother is dying unfortunately we are going to count them and say number ta amaro current 2018 ne thila 113 so is this a good number or a bad number tum kon laguch 113
बैड नंबर
there was ଆମେ ତ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ଆମକୁ ଯାହା କହିଲେ ବି bad ଲାଗିବ but let me give you a perspective this number used to be as high as almost 300 350 it used to be like this now it has come down to 113 even I doubt whether actually it is 113 it is very likely that you know government to सेटा से जिंस करन छाड़ आमे ते पॉलिटिक्स ग्रुप पसियानी but still it is kindly mute your audio कार ऑडियो ऑन আছে kindly mute it hello कार ऑडियो ऑन আছে hello चक्रधर kindly mute your audio so this is maternal mortality rate but yes 113 is nowhere near where we want to be ideally this should be 50 or even less than 50 okay similarly you see the level of infant mortality rate what is the meaning of infant mortality rate the number of infant deaths per thousand तो गोटे जिनस नोटिस करो infant mortality rate and under 5 mortality rate होची per 1000 live births but maternal mortality rate is per 1 lakh live births under 5 mortality rate होची number of deaths of infants below 5 years old because एटा होची माने birth time रे केतेटा death होची बर्तमान birth रो हमें देखलु कि 0 to 5 years भितरे भी this is also very dangerous period when the child is very vulnerable to different kinds of diseases so तार भी गोटे statistics रहया कथा that statistics is U5MR under 5 mortality rate so ei table टा kindly मन रखियो ei table टा you can quote anywhere related to health of children health of women okay sample registration survey Similarly, let's see the next statistics. National Family Health Survey NFHS 5 data. NFHS 5 data କହୁଛି କି ଇଣ୍ଡିଆର total fertility rate has now fallen below the replacement level fertility RLF. Now I'm going to explain this. Please focus on this part because this TFR and RLF is not only used ମାନେ ଏଇଟା ତମେ women's issue ରେ ବି use କରିପାରିବ, population ରେ use କରିପାରିବ, population chapter ରେ you can use this in urbanization, you can use this in development, in many areas you can use this. So try to understand ki a concept or mane kon total fertility rate TFR. You see the concept of TFR says कि आमे देखिया कि गोटे कपल अछंती सेमानकर ऑन एवरेज गोटे देश रे कपल भी कहन आमे कहे कि रिप्रोड्यूसिंग एज रो वुमेन गोटे ऑन एवरेज हाउ मेनी चिल्ड्रन शी इज बेयरिंग केतेटा पिला को से बर्थ दोछ. So that single number is known as TFR. Now what is the point of calculating TFR? TFR होची एमितिया गोटे सिंगल नंबर जहा थ्रू रे हमें ओवरऑल एस्टिमेट करि परिया कि गोटे कंट्री रो पॉपुलेशन ग्रो करूची ना डिक्लाइन होची. फॉर एग्जांपल थिंक हमें एटा तो अज्यूम करिया ना वुमेन माने कोन वुमेन प्लस मैन यूजुअली गोटे रहितवे कंट्री रे सोसाइटी रे चलो इफ यू विल से कि ओनली वुमेन को निया होची माने मे बी सपोज वन वुमेन इज कैरिंग मेनी चिल्ड्रन ऑफ डिफरेंट मेन से सब एते हमें डिटेल भितर जीवा. It is assumed that एटा गोटे कपल को होल्ड करूची. So if a woman is, for example, think she is carrying two children, that means what? Two people are producing two children. Then suppose you assume this is one is male, one is female. Another similarly another couple of two people, they are also producing two children. So here we are assuming if TFR, suppose TFR is 2, so this couple will also have MF. Now think suppose they are getting married, so they will again make two couples. So like this, can you imagine if the TFR is somewhere around 2, the population is neither growing nor declining, correct? So population remains constant. That means one generation will entirely shift, or one generation will entirely replace itself into the next generation. There is neither growth nor decline. So this level of this TFR is known as replacement level fertility, RLF. That means RLF is somewhere around 2. Actually if you see is RLF TFR 2.1 को हमें RLF वाली count करू. तो मैं पे कहो 0.1 काहे की, because 0.1 to take care of many children, maybe some children who are dying due to death, any kind of death हमें देखना IMR अच्छी under 5 mortality rate अच्छी, तो 0.1 टा हेतरे adjust हो जिवो. बाकी जो 2 टा रहिबो we are assuming कि they will replace, not assuming, it is seen that in general when TFR is 2.1, a country's one generation will replace itself in the next generation. So TFR, that means, is the average number of children that a reproducing age woman is producing, and when TFR equals to 2.1, that level of reproducibility is called replacement level fertility, RLF. एटा बुझी होची कि नहीं? Now you tell me, what do you think? Think of India, Bangladesh, US and Japan. Just by guessing, you tell me कि कहार TFR अधिका थियो कहार कम थियो. Guess करो.
जापान सबठू कम थिबो आ बांग्लादेश रो सबठू हाईएस्ट थिबो.
Excellent. देखो जो गोटे सिंगल नंबर रो हमें गेस कर परिया, मे बी बांग्लादेश माइट बी समवेयर 3.5 or 3 or 4, I don't know. It must be highest. Japan would be less, 2.1 ରୁ भी less थियो, मे बी 1 थिबो or even 0.9 around एती थिबो. इंडिया रो बे केते अछि जानछो? At one point we were also 2.5 या ऊपर थिला, धीरे धीरे रिड्यूस होबा को लागिला. At one point it became 2.1. Now it is said कि तापर 2.0 होला, now it is almost 1.9. That means our population growth rate is declining. Now या विषय टिके just one technical point. This means that population ro growth rate is declining. Does not mean that population itself is declining. Are you able to understand? Population ro growth rate, see 80 growth rate टा high थिला, धीरे धीरे growth rate टा slow होला, 80 growth rate टा आहुरी slow होई गला, तापर 80 plateau होई जिवो, तापर growth rate आउ grow करिवनी, ताको हमें decline कहयो. बुझी होछि? So now it's not like हम population grow करनी, हम population एबे भी grow करछि, but it is growing at a lower rate. Growing at a lower rate. Are you able to understand or not? बुझिगला TFR RLF ର concept?
सर ये जो RLF तारो ସବୁବେଳେ ସେଟା constant ରହିଥାଏ ନା 2.1
Yes, TFR equals to 2.1 ku ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ threshold ନିଆ ହେଇଛି. This threshold is ଆମକୁ କହୁଛୁ RLF.
RLF
So think of ଏଗୁଡ଼ା ଭାବ TFR ର value ଏଗୁଡ଼ା ହେଲା. Suppose 0 ରୁ start ହେଇକି 0.5 1 1.5 2.1 କୁ ନିଆ ହେଇଛି RLF because this has been seen କି ଏଇ level ଟାରେ usually ଗୋଟେ country ଟା exactly ତାର population ଟା ମାନେ replace ହୁଏ with the next population. That means at this level population will neither grow nor decline. Population is constant. Above this population will keep on growing. Okay. अच्छा population chapter ଆମେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ପଢିବା by the way. Trying to explain this. Have you seen this population pyramids? NCERT ରେ ଅଛି. Have you seen this population pyramid?
सर एनवायरनमेंट चैप्टर ଥିଲା बायोलॉजी रो
अच्छा बायोलॉजी रे थिला. NCERT रे थिला कि?
NCERT class 12
You must have seen diagrams like this. है ना?
yes
यस सर ज्योग्राफी भी ଅଛି ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी
So ये जो हमें देखिए population pyramid, this represents suppose male, female, and here it represents the age group. For example, this is the maybe 0 to 2 years, 2 to 4 years like that. Okay. एमती है कि suppose 90 to 100 maximum हमें ती level पर्यंत नहीं. Then हमें देखिए कि गोटे country रो 0 to 2 years रे केते what is the percentage of population तांको भितरु male केते and female केते. Okay. एमती करके हमें divide करसु सब से country रो population. So from that graph what we can understand is जदि गोटे country रो graph overall एभलिया हिथि एटा जेमती अछि that means तारो base टा बहुत broad हिथिबो ता माने तारो younger population बेसी अछि younger population रो percentage is more and older population percentage is less on the other hand. So that means this is a growing country. Usually some countries like Bangladesh, even India earlier was somewhere like this, but as a country develops ସେତେବେଳେ କଣ ହବ ସେ country ର ଏମିତି population figure ଟା ଏମିତିଆ ହେଇଯିବ ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ଏଇଭଳିଆ ହେଇଯିବ. That means more people would be in the middle age ଲୋକ ବେଶୀ ରହିବେ, old age ଲୋକ କମ ଆଉ young ଲୋକ କମ. Then there will come at a one point ଯୋଉଠି କି ମାନେ pyramid ଟା ଏମିତି ଏଇଭଳିଆ ହବ. There will come one point when it will look like this, and this is the condition of a country like Japan ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି older people are in comparison percentage ତାଙ୍କର more, and ଏଇଟା ଏମିତିଆ ବି ହେଇପାରେ ନାର ହେଇଯିବ base ଟା ନାର ହେଇଯିବ means younger people ଙ୍କର population କମିଯିବ. So that means as a country develops ଆମର population ବି ଏଇଭଳିଆ population ର percentage or composition ଟା ଏମିତିଆ change ହେଇଯିବ. This is also known as demographic transition. Population chapter ଆମେ ଆହୁରି detail ରେ ପଢିବା ତାର phases of demographic transition. In NCERT also you must have read this, different phases of demographic transition. So RLF, if you see, RLF would come somewhere in this phase in which the country would be growth rate of the country is constant. RLF ରୁ ତଳକୁ ଯଦି ଖସିବ ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ country ର growth rate ଟା କମି କମି ଚାଲିଲା, then finally ଗୋଟେ point ଆସିବ ଯୋଉଥିରେ country ପୁଣି again ତାର population decline କରିବାକୁ ଯିବ. Japan is one example. Can you tell me other example how କୋଉ country ଏମିତି population decline କରୁଛି?
सर रिसेंटली जर्मनी रो 3 months ହେଲା କୌଣସି ବେबी ଜନ୍ମ ହେଇନାହାନ୍ତି ଯେ
अच्छा ଏଟା ନ୍ୟୁଜ ରେ ଆସିଥିଲା କି?
सर आई थिंक इटाली रे भी से प्रॉब्लम अछि
yes,
ओल्ड
yes.
एज प्रॉब्लम
Old
अछि
age people, yes, percentage of old age people are more. Scandinavian countries are facing this problem. Australia is facing this problem. Australia ro prime minister, I think one prime minister earlier he was promoting people ki young people should take a break and on the weekends you should try to copulate and have some kids. ପିଲା ହିଁ ଆମର ଦରକାର, ପିଲା ଆମର ହଉନାହାନ୍ତି. ଠିକ ଅଛି, यार इंडिया ରୁ ନେଇ ଯାଆନ୍ତୁ ଆଉ କିଛି ଲୋକ ନେଇ ଯାଆନ୍ତୁ, ଦୁଇଟାକ countryଙ୍କର ଭଲ ହବ. Anyway, let's see the next point, sex ratio. What is the meaning of sex ratio? Very simple, number of female per thousand.
सर सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट जो जो
Yes.
टीएफआर है ना तो एनएफएचएस रो जो टीएफआर हमें डेटा पाइले बट हाउ इट इज रिलेटेड टू वुमेन इश्यूज
Okay, excellent point. Okay, maybe I forgot to link this. What this means is that अच्छा देखो, मतलब कहो कि गोटे कंट्री रो यदि TFR बहुत हाई अछि, सपोज TFR अछि somewhere around 3 or even 2.5, that means population grow करछि, means गोटे woman on average she is having 2.5 kids. Okay, we are talking about on average, it's not like जणे स्त्री लोक तो अढेटा पिला कर परिबेन ना, that will be a whole number, right? 2 or 3 or 4, but on an average you are seeing on the country it can be a fraction, so 2.5 or even say 3. So if one lady along with her husband they are having 3 kids, that means there is a pressure on this woman. Tankar think about her sexual and reproductive health. Think of a woman who is having one child only, and think of another woman who is having 3 kids. Whose health do you think would be better? It is likely that this person's only one kid, this woman would have better health. Now it may vary from case to case, vary କରିପାରେ. Maybe this woman is very robust. ଏବେ ତୁମେ पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस ରୁ କହିବ କି सर मोर जेजेमा तो बहुत ही स्ट्रांग थिले, ଏବେ ମୁଁ ଦେଖୁଛି ଆମ जनरेशन तो बहुत वीक. That's a separate matter. Within one generation you see, if a family is having 3 kids, you see the health of the mother, and the main reason for it is कि ଗୋଟେ चाइल्ड बर्थ ଗୋଟେ ह्यूज टोल निए वुमेन कर हेल्थ रे. Specifically, usually after childbirth women are, and even during childbirth women are more susceptible to anemia. Okay, so that means कि जते हमें चाइल्ड बर्थ करी पुनी सी बहुत सारा कॉम्प्लिकेशंस अछि. सपोज इट आल्सो डिपेंड्स कि केते गैप भितरे केते स्पेसिंग रे तुम्हारो नेक्स्ट चाइल्ड बर्थ होची. सपोज यू आर हैविंग वन चाइल्ड इन वन फर्स्ट ईयर, सपोज 2020 रे फर्स्ट चाइल्ड आला, 2021 रे आउट चाइल्ड हेला. So you think of the condition of the mother rather than think कि जदि जनकर 2020 रे हितला and 2023 रे हितला, so this mother would be obviously be better off, ठीक है. सो ए जो जदि अधिका नंबर हबो, सपोज 2 रु हमर 3 हे जिवो और 2.5 हे जिवो, this will have direct impact on the health of the mother. And in general we should, and this is only one aspect. Okay, what is the second aspect? Second aspect is directly related to population growth. जदि TFR हमर हाई अछि, त माने population growth rate हाई अछि. population growth rate जदि हाई अछि, that means गोटे कंट्री रो रिसोर्सेस गुडा it is being divided into many numbers, many heads. So that means per capita our resources amount कमी जिवो. That means हमर जनरल जति ग्रोथ होवा कथा, और ग्रोथ रे को आबने डेवलपमेंट को आबो, लोकंकर डेवलपमेंट से लेवल हे परिबो. थिंक अबाउट आवर कंडीशन जते हम पॉपुलेशन एक्सप्लोजन कथा को आउला. इंडिया रो at one time we were facing population explosion. So what was the level of development of people? The resources were thinly scattered out ना. जति कि हमर बजट अछि, लोक ताटो बहुत अधिया अछि. But if you have less number of people, then budget will also be accordingly distributed, and women as well as men will get more resources. Okay. This is the point. कि TFR high हेले गोटे कंट्री रो women मानक ऊपर प्रेशर पड़े, reproducing age रो women मानक ऊपर. Okay, so एटा को हमें प्रूफ दबा, एविडेंस दबा कि काहे कि इंडिया रो वुमेन को हेल्थ खराब होची बिकॉज़ हमरो TFR आगरो बहुत हाई थिला. बट आमे एबे आर्ग्यू कर परिया कि एबे जेहेतु TFR इंडिया रो TFR has fallen below replacement level fertility, so now India चलो we are in a good place. एटा को एबे रो जो TFR 1.9 टा को हमें खराब सेंस से यूज कर परिया नहीं. This is a good thing, it is a positive thing. Then third point is something that we are going to use in population chapter. एटा मते मने पकेयो population chapter हमें ए आर्गुमेंट यूज करिया. It is something related to population control. आगर को होतला कि हमें population को जेमिति हेले भी कंट्रोल करिया. So think of coercive measures like कौन हला इंदिरा गांधी और राजीव गांधी when they did what they did, ସେମାନେ forcefully लोक माननकु नसबंदी करौतले. Do you know this or not? So these kind of coercive steps, we will argue कि these kind of coercive steps are not required now. Why it is not required? Because India's population growth is already slowing down, and to justify this we'll say कि our TFR has now fallen below RLF. Therefore we don't need any coercive steps. So आमे voluntarily जो लोक माने राजी होचंती ताको नै कि माने we can manage it. And if you see, this point has been the main theme of many articles which came in the Hindu Indian Express एसो जिनसरा आसला. Specifically जेबे I think last year UP government रो गोटे policy decision आसला कि ସେମାନେ बाहर कले ना उत्तर प्रदेश population control policy, population policy एमते किछ गोटे बाहर करथे. You see this एटा त आसला ना 2022 रे I think. This was criticized on this ground कि तुमे काहे कि एटा योगी आदित्यनाथ सरकार कहले कि आमे फोर्सफुली भी किसी लोगों को आम बाध्य करिया, बाध्य तो करवानी, वी विल रिमूव मेनी ऑफ द benefits given to people on the basis of केते number of children माने रखिछन. For example, suppose जो मानकर one child अछि, they will get some special treatment from the government. जो मानकर 2 के 3 children अछन, they will not get this. So in this way they are saying कि आमे we will gradually move people from more children towards less children, माने less number of children होबा को आमे तांको बाध्य करियो. बट कथा होचे आमे हमक बाध्य करिया दरकार नै. Already our population level is going down. And if you see even between states, think of between states. See what happens at the level of countries will also happen at the level of states, within the states. So you think UP, Bihar in that sense, their TFR, state-wise TFR, if you see, it is still very high. So Yogi Adityanath government is justifying it on the basis of that only. Yogi Adityanath कहूची कि see तुम आम national average low ही थाई पारे, but UP Bihar रो level of fertility level बहुत high अछि. Whereas if you see a country, sorry, state like Kerala, their TFR is very low. State-wise TFR is very low. So they are saying कि आमे भी Kerala level पे पहुंचू, so that we will also be developed. But again, a counter argument to this will be कि this will also help for what? Migration ने help करियो. जोठी surplus labor अछि, समाने deficit labor area को जिबे. And this will also help in national integration. देखो बहुत सारा argument अछि. तुम्हें जो गोटे टॉपिक ऊपर जते डेप्थ को जिबो ना, you will get n number of arguments. माने गोटे argument रो counter argument, सेही counter argument रो पुनी counter argument. आमे एते डेप्थ रे जिगानी. Are you able to overall understand or not? TFR फर्स्ट कथा ला हमकु लो दरकार अछि. बट कथा अछि जदि बहुत लो हे जो RLF रो बहुत तळको चल जिवो ताले भी कंट्री पई डिफिकल्टी आसीओ. अतिर मते आउट वन लास्ट पॉइंट मने पडला. Have you heard of Elon Musk views on this or not? Elon Musk गोटे कथा कहउछि कि population collapse हवा को जाउछि. He is worried about population collapse he is saying कि world रे enough population नहीं future रे ही पारे कि entire human species will be facing existential threat. So he is saying कि चलो we should rather reproduce more. But anyway, you should not write about these points. We'll write about more of these scientifically accepted points. Okay. Any doubts in this? Okay, then let us move on to the next point, sex ratio. Number of female per 1000 male. Census 2011 accordingly 940 thila. Currently it is somewhere around 1020. So that means per 1000 male we have 1020 female. So 20 जन female extra हेलानी. कौन करा जिवो तांकर? Is this a good thing or not? Yes, it is a good thing. For the first time it has happened. Okay.
सर एटा को रिपोर्ट कहिछ एटा 1020
NFHS.
अच्छा.
Okay. Institutional delivery. Now next see institutional delivery. What is the meaning of institutional delivery?
हॉस्पिटल रे
Institutional. Very good. Hospital or any माने organized healthcare.
प्रोफेशनल अटेंडेंट.
Yes. Organized healthcare. Maybe even having any midwife who are trained, even that is being counted. But the delivery should happen in any institution, healthcare institution. Okay. If this midwife माने तुम्हारी घरे होची, on the other hand, that will not be counted as institutional delivery. And we are promoting that most of our delivery should be institutional deliveries. Why are you promoting this thing? Very common sense. कि delivery time टा बहुत ही complicated था. घरे हेले किसी issue हो गले. So see main maternal mortality rate रो cause कौन की? The main cause of maternal mortality rate is because many of the people will try to have home delivery. चलो सही sense रे home delivery नो माने delivery at home. Okay, that is the point. Delivery at home delivery no. Okay, home delivery means something else. Delivery at home. But we are trying to make institutional delivery. मतलब देखो यार अभी आउ भी गोटे argument अच्छी. By the way, we should not blindly think कि institutional delivery itself is good. I hope you have read some articles on this. Even this is being criticized. But आमे exam रे इतने सारा point लिखिया हम पकर scope नहीं. We'll write whatever is माने main theory जहाँ हमें सेटा लिखिया कि institutional delivery means it is a good thing. Okay. Otherwise even एटा को भी criticize करा होगा because if you see institutional delivery will always promote which kind of delivery, cesarean delivery, and this kind of delivery is not actually good for the mother. ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ କାହିଁକି recommend କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଏ ସବୁ ବହୁତ ସାରା conspiracy theories ବି ଅଛି, we will not go into that, but the point is if you see the level of institutional delivery right now is 88.6% in India as per NFHS 5 data. Most of these are in National Family Health Survey 5 data, so that means 88% ଅଛି ମାନେ this is a good enough number, but we want that 95 plus ଯିବା ଦରକାର.
सर 4 रे କେତେ ଥିଲା ଏଟା?
ଆଗରୁ କେତେ ଥିଲା 4 ରେ
ହଁ
ମନେ ନାହିଁ यार, I have
okay
not seen it, just get it check.
okay
ହେଇଥିବ less ହେଇଥିବ ମାନେ certainly less than
less
88.
ତ ହେଇଥିବ.
Similarly, see the next point, sexual and reproductive health. It is also sometimes called sexual and reproductive health rights, SRHR. ଏମିତି short form ତୁମକୁ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ମିଳିବ, SRH or SRHR. Rights, women's right related to sex and reproduction. So these are very nice points that even essay ethics is ସବୁ ଜିନିଷରେ you can write. Okay, population related issue, migration, urbanization is ସବୁ ଜିନିଷରେ you can write. Contraceptive prevalence. What is the prevalence of contraceptive? Earlier it was less, now it has risen to 67%. देखो earlier କେତେ ଥିଲା exactly କିଛି ମନେ ରଖିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ, ଆମେ latest data ଏମିତି ବି ଏତେ ସାରା data ତୁମକୁ ମନେ ରଖିବା ବି difficult. So current data just remember it and you can blindly write ki has increased from NFHS 5 level. Sorry, NFHS 4 level. You can blindly write because
Okay sir.
government data ସେମାନେ ଯାହା ବି ଦେଖେ ସେମାନେ କହିକି previous level ରୁ ସେମାନେ ସବୁବେଳେ ବଢେଇକି ଦେଖେ ମାନେ ଏଥର ଆମର ସବୁ ଭଲ ଅଛି. Similarly, you can guess earlier MMR ଯାହା ହେଲେ ବି ଅଧିକା ଥିବ, ଏଥରର MMR ଏବେର MMR ନିଶ୍ଚୟ କମ ଥିବ because government will show କି ସବୁବେଳେ ଆମର improve ହଉଛି. Whatever statistics you are seeing in government reports, government କୁ ସବୁବେଳେ ଭଲ ଲାଇଟ ରେ ପୋର୍ଟ୍ରେ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ସେ previous year ରୁ ଯାହା ହେଲେ ବଢେଇକି ମାନେ better show କରାହେଇଥିବ. Tiger suppose all India tiger estimate once it was 1411, next year କେବେ ବି 1410 ବି ହବନି. ଯଦି actually ବି ଗୋଟେ tiger ମରି ଯାଇଥିବ ତଥାପି ସେଟା କେବେ show କରାହବନି, ଏଟା 1412 ହେଇପାରେ but 1410 କେବେ ବି ହବନି. Okay, so very dark reality of administration. You will realize how administrative data is collected. If you hear about it you will laugh. Okay. ଯଦି କହିବ ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ anecdote ତୁମକୁ କହିବି ମୋ experience ରୁ ଆଜି class ସରିଲେ ହେଲା, how statistics is generated from administrative officers. Okay. Anyway, sexual and reproductive health, contraceptive prevalence rose to 67% and only 9.5% men are using condoms, and this is not due to the lack of awareness but by choice, and this is what is worrying. It's not like that only 9.5% people know how to use it, it's only that 9.5% people men choose to use it. So that means, what does this statistics mean? This means that the burden or the responsibility of family planning in India is mostly on who? Is on the woman. This is the outcome, this is the analysis, because it is the responsibility of the woman, not the man. This can be a good point or not. Gender differences, you can write it. You women are taking all kinds of responsibilities.
Sorry, 67% are only women, right?
In general ସବୁ ମିଶିକି, and remember
Men and
contraceptive
women ମିଶେଇକି.
ମିଶେଇକି plus contraceptive also includes a large number of things including condoms. So this overall thing is higher. Obviously it will be higher. Condom part will be less, of course, because it is only a subset of contraceptives. Okay. Now, what is the prevalence of anemia? What is the extent of anemia in India? Same report रे, NFHS 5 report रे କୁହାଯାଇଛି men ମାନଙ୍କର ଦେଖ 25%, women ମାନଙ୍କର 57%, children ମାନଙ୍କର 67%. So what does this mean? That this means that in general the health of a man in a family is more robust than women ମାନଙ୍କର ତାଠୁ ଟିକେ less, ମାନେ women ମାନଙ୍କ very fragile and children ମାନଙ୍କର ତାଠୁ ଆହୁରି fragile. So do you see, even within a family, who is more likely to get sick? Women and children are more likely to get sick. ବୁଝି ହଉଛି ନା ବୁଝି ହଉନି? ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ କିଛି ଡାଉଟ ହଉଛି?
କଣ୍ଟ୍ରାସେପ୍ଟିଭ ପ୍ରିଭିଲେନ୍ସ ଟା କଣ ସେଟା ମାନେ ଏକ୍ସାକ୍ଟ ୱାର୍ଡ ଟା ବୁଝିପାରୁନି।
Contraceptive prevalence ମାନେ କେତେ percentage ଲୋକ, okay, including male and female, are using at least one kind of contraceptive, any contraceptive. Okay. not necessarily just condoms, any kind of contraceptive. So we will take them as also included in this. So this will come out around 67%. That means the rest are not using any kind of contraceptives. And even within that, if you see, what is the, if you, यार ଗୋଟେ subset of a number of condoms, କେତେ ଜଣ use କରୁଛନ୍ତି percentage. And that the difference between male and female is that only 10% male are using. So that means that female are more prone to the risk, है ना? Different kinds of risk they are more exposed to. बुझिए?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next is this very nice concept. Please pay attention, because again this concept also you can write in multiple areas. ऐसे ethics GS1 सब जगह लिखे हो. Sun meta preference. Try to understand what this means. Economic survey 2018 में ये concept टा दिया ହେଇଥିଲା. Okay, এই term ଟାକୁ ଆସିଥିଲା sun meta preference. यार माने कौन? यार माने कहले कि economic survey said कि in India we see this tendency. कौन tendency? Suppose there is a couple. They want to, usually what they will want to have, will they want to have a boy or a girl? They will always want to have a boy, most of the couples. So what they will have, first they will try to have some kid. So suppose first they will first decide how many, not even boy, how many number of boys they want to have. Okay, and suppose the number of boys they want to have is 1, maybe 2 or 1, 3 bhi par. We are taking one example. Suppose they want to have 2 boys, so they will try to have kids. Suppose the first child is a girl, so they will be disappointed. They will say ki let us try again. Prelims होल्या, first prelims clear हला ठीक है, next year पुणी prelims देले, पुणी girl हला, disappointed, they will try again. This time they had a boy. Will they stop here? No, because their target is दुईटा at least दरकार. Okay, this is what economic survey is saying. So again they will have, suppose they are having girl, next they are having boy, now they will stop. So this tendency to have as many number of boys that they want to have, and in the process they are giving birth to other girls. So they don't usually care about these girls. They just want ki they should have a boy at least. If suppose one family decided ki we want to have one boy, तो ठीक है, one girl हला, तापर maybe one boy हला, then they will stop. यदि first boy ହେଇଗଲା तो then they will stop here itself. So this decision making कि आमे केतेबेले stop करियो, जेतेबेले हमरो desired number of boys हमरो ହେଇଯିवो, desired number of boys. एई tendency through रे कोन हबो, किछि unwanted girls will be given birth. Okay, please don't feel offended. These are not my words. These words are used by economic survey, and economic survey has taken data from different areas, healthcare sector, and they have estimated that India has similarly 21 million unwanted girls because of direct impact of this unwanted girls. Sorry, sun meta preference. बुझी होची? पतन कथा होची unwanted girls माने कोन एमान कोन फिंगी दिया होची? That's not the point. It's not like they are being discarded. The point is, even if they are living within the family, because they were not wanted in the first place, therefore they will be given less amount of attention, less amount of resources, less amount of access to opportunities. बुझी होची? So that means सेमानकर development सेते भलो हबो नाही, and that will reflect also in the gender disparity in general. Will that reflect or not? तुम घरे गोटे boy अछि गोटे girl अछि, you are giving most of the attention to the boy, not to the girl. Suppose both of them said कि हमें civil service में prepare हो, you have maybe some limited money, you will say कि you will give the money only to the boy. गर्ल को कहेगी नहीं तुम्हें जा, तू जा बाहर जा. So this is the gender bias. That means sun meta preference leads to so many issues. It leads to unwanted girls and gender bias, and finally the outcome is gender disparity overall in the society. This is the argument we are making.
सर एसएमपी रो गोटे एग्जांपल अछि मो पाखरे
हाँ.
गोटे फ्रेंड सर्कल रे मोर गोटे फ्रेंड तांकर फर्स्ट तीनटा जियो हेले तापरे तांकर गोटे पुओ हेला देन दे वांटेड अगेन ए बॉय सो दे ट्राइड एंड अगेन 3 गर्ल्स देन ए बॉय
So I don't think of those 6 poor girls. What will be the condition of those girls? Will they get enough attention? Will they get enough resources? Obviously they will not get. The boys will get all the attention. And think of कि ये girls को जेमती सेमती से पाठ पढ़ी से कहे कि जेमती बाहा करते ले. This is the lived reality of our society. Okay, डोंट थिंक कि ये माने इकोनॉमिक सर्वे वाला कुछ भी लिखि दैछन हम बहुत रिसर्च करके स्पेसिफिकली रूरल एरिया रे बहुत रिसर्च करके जिन सब बाहर करछन many of you maybe might be living in urban areas you will not be able to understand but this is a lived reality of actual India the difference between India and Bharat हम discuss करते हैं the difference between India and Bharat this is the problem of Bharat not of India okay. Next is domestic violence against women हमें डिस्कस करथिलु DV and IPV what is the meaning of IPV
intimate partner violence.
very good so this is a subset of domestic violence correct so what is the level of domestic violence against women in India should add NCRB data 2022 says that during 2020 to 21 a gotte barsha bhitere crime against women increased by 15 percentage points 15 percentage point 15 pp to now 64% okay 64% above he is what is the main can you tell me why such a huge jump in the crime domestic violence against women this also we have discussed
Corona pandemic.
Work from home.
The
Pandemic.
very good
COVID-19 pandemic.
COVID-19 pandemic and this was called as what was the term we discussed
Shadow.
very good shadow pandemic means gotte pandemic chalchi COVID-19 तार parallelly shadow pandemic chalchi which is invisible to us okay domestic violence against women okay let us move on to the next part women chapter को हमें आज के डेप्थ पे देखुचे because women issues ସବୁ वर्ष ସବୁ पेपर मिसिकी 3 ରୁ 4ଟା क्वेश्चन आसो डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली तो आहुरी बहुत सारा जगह रे तुम लिखि पारियो डिसएडवांटेज ग्रुप्स इन जनरल सबुतरे वुमेन ट्राइबल्स है ना ओल्डर पर्सन्स ए सब सेक्शंस ऑफ पीपल अंडर रे आसी आंदी फर्स्ट सबले वुमेन आसी आंदी दलित ओके एसटी एससी एमती सब आसी जे सब तो लेट अस सी एजुकेशन इन इंडिया एंड वुमेन तो वुमेन मानकर लेवल ऑफ एजुकेशन केते लिटरेसी रेट सेंसस 2011 हिसाब रे हमर ओवरऑल इंडिया रो लिटरेसी रेट हो 74% मेल मानकर 82% फीमेल मानकर 65% so is there a gap or not so this statistics very simple statistics shows ki what is the difference in literacy rate in India that there is a gender gap similarly if you see school education what are statistics achi gender parity index GPI gender parity index if you see what is the meaning of gender parity index mo short रे हम एटा बुझिया एग्जाम रे एते तुमको एक्सप्लेन करियारो चांस मिलिबन यू कैन जस्ट मेंशन कि जेंडर पैरिटी इंडेक्स accordingly our India ro kete level achi okay so what is the meaning of gender parity just try to understand this suppose in a society this is the society and this is a school suppose in a society kichi number of small boys and girls achanti who are supposed to go to the school suppose out of 100 such children suppose 50 are or let us say even 60 are boys 40 are girls this difference doesn't matter suppose it is naturally be 60 and 40 so ideally how many children should go to school all of them should go to school or even if suppose you are thinking 50 boys 55 boys are going to school accordingly 35 girls should also be going to the school but what is seen reality रे कौन हुए 60 ରୁ maybe 58 जन boys जाउथे out of these but girls 40 ରୁ केते जन जाउथे maybe 30 girls जाउथे are you able to understand तांकर proportionally translate हेलेनी from society to school means many girls are actually here dropouts for different reasons sociocultural reason अछि economic reason अछि very simple health reason अछि हम wash बोली गोटे जिंस डिस्कस करथिले water sanitation and health care wash रो माने कोन for example not having a toilet गोटे adolescent girl can she go to the school if the school does not have toilet so ei jo translate kete level रे translate होउची from the society to the school that is shown by gender parity index means गोटे gender parity index will show जदि gender parity index भलो अछि that means जेते percentage तांकर population में boys and girls अछंती सेति की similar level of percentage school ले भी अछंती but जदि suppose बेसी percentage boys अछंती school ले and girls माने कम अछंती that means कि there is a gender gap okay? It's a very simple definition so as per
Sir,
this understanding
hello sir.
हम्म
सर आ
हाँ
गोटे भी
को
रीजन हो पारे जो इलिटरेट ऑफ पेरेंट्स
हाँ
जो माने
literacy
एते
yes
शिक्षित नुहंती से माने
correct
ଯୋଉମାନେ
correct
ଶିକ୍ଷିତ ନୁହନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ତାଙ୍କ ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କୁ ଇନ୍ସପାୟାର କରନ୍ତିନି ଯିବା ପାଇଁ ଯେ ତୁ ବାହାରକୁ ଯା
correct
ବା
correct
ପାଠ
ହଁ
ପଢିବାର
ସେଟା
କଣ
ବି
ଅଛି ଯେ ଯେଉଁମାନେ
level of literacy
ଏଜୁକେଟେଡ ପର୍ସନ ହଁ
literacy of parents, this is what you are saying. Definitely this is one of the factors. We are not, ame factor bisare te detail le jaun, I'm just telling you ki for any reason jodi drop out he gale, then this will reflect in the school level itself. So school le tame jai ki dekhiyo ki setre boys besi achandi, girls kam achandi, sei tulanar jo tulanar actually society re achandi. So that is the point ki
ଯୋଉମାନଙ୍କ
gender parity.
ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟସ୍ ମାନେ ଯୋଉମାନଙ୍କ ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟସ୍ ମାନେ ଏଜୁକେଟେଡ ଥିବେ ସେମାନେ ଯେମିତି ବି ହଉନା କାହିଁକି ସବୁ କଷ୍ଟ କରିକି ବି ହଉ ସେମାନଙ୍କ ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କୁ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ କରନ୍ତି କିନ୍ତୁ ମେନ୍
I
ଜିନିଷଟା
agree.
ଯୋଉମାନେ ଟିକେ ଏତେ ଶିକ୍ଷିତ ନୁହନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ତାଙ୍କ ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କୁ ସେମାନେ ଇନ୍ସପାୟାର କରନ୍ତି ଯେ ତମେ ମାନେ କିଛି କାମରେ ଗୋଟେ ଲାଗିଯାଅ।
हाँ ठीक माने you are preaching to the choir. I'm agreeing with what you are saying. But we are not discussing what are the reasons. I'm just trying to explain to you कि gender parity रो माने कौन. एटा ଗୋଟେ technical term gender parity index. तो gender parity index कौन कहूची? The extent to which girls are represented in school vis-a-vis their population in respective age groups, that will show what is the level of gender difference. And this a GPI रो गोटा single value आसियो, गोटा score आसियो. ए score टा जदि more or equal to 1 आसियो, ताले that means it is a proportional representation. And currently actually the value for GPI is more than 1 for India. At least Department of School and Education ये कथा पूछ तो गवर्नमेंट तो कही हुई तो गवर्नमेंट रो कहया कथि कि आमे जेंडर पैरिटी अचीव करि देइछु एंटायर जिनसर माने हला या गवर्नमेंट कहूची आमे जेंडर पैरिटी अचीव कर देइछु एमितिया नहीं कि आमे गर्ल्स मान को स्कूल छाडू ना ओके but the reality of this scenario is actually doubtful. Okay, we don't know actually ହେଇଛି କି ନାହିଁ but तुमको तो एग्जाम लिखिବାକୁ ପଡିବ कि चलो जेंडर पैरिटी ଆମେ अचीव कर ଦେଇଛୁ ବୋଲି
सर DOSL ମାନେ डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ
स्कूल एंड एजुकेशन एंड लिटरेसी
ओके
स्कूल एजुकेशन एंड लिटरेसी डोसल ଆମର ଏମିତି डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ स्कूल एंड मास एजुकेशन ଅଛି ନା सिमिलरली डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ स्कूल एजुकेशन एंड लिटरेसी होची यूनियन गवर्नमेंट रो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन अंडर बहुत सारा डिपार्टमेंट अछि वन ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट्स इज डोसल नेक्स्ट सी हायर एजुकेशन स्कूल एजुकेशन नो लेवल एटा देखिले तो मु जान जानी
सर
एमिति
से
किछ किछ यस
सर ऊपर से जो लिखे फ्रॉम UDISC सेटा कोन एक्चुअली
ओडी से मोर भी एते मन नहीं जे ए
सर
रिपोर्ट
हमें
टा
खाली
उडा
लिखे
आसेला
ना डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ स्कूल
हां
एजुकेशन
डिपार्टमेंट
लिटरेसी
स्कूल यस यस
ओके
यस ओके यू कैन राइट डेफिनेटली डोसल
Unified District Information System.
ओके
वेरी गुड यूनिफाइड डिस्ट्रिक्ट
District
इंफॉर्मेशन
Information System.
ऑन एजुकेशन एमते किछ हेतिबो ना ई रे अछि ई रे निश्चय
Sir, UDICE.
ओके ठीक अछि देखि दो चेक कर दो
सर
दिस इज वेरी वेल नोन उडिसे बोली सब बेले ताको यूडाइस सॉरी से यूडाइस प्लस एटा बोली कुआ जाय प्रथम
सर
यूडाइस आसला तापर सेटा प्लस तापर आसला यस यस गो
सर ମାନେ ଫୁଲ ଇଏ ନ ଲେଖି ଖାଲି ଏମିତି ଲେଖି ଦେଇକି ଛାଡିଦେଲେ ବି ହବ ନା ସାର୍ ନା ଫୁଲ ଫର୍ମ ଲେଖିବାକୁ ପଡିବ ନା କିଛି ମାନେ
ନା
ଏକ୍ସଟ୍ରା
କିଛି
କିଛି
ଜିନିଷ
ଏଜ
ଅଛି
ମିଳିବ
ନା କିଛି ଏକ୍ସଟ୍ରା ନାହିଁ କିଛି रिपोर्ट ଅଛି ନା दे आर वेरी वेल नोन रिपोर्ट तो सेटा एमती डायरेक्ट लिखि देले भी आसर रिपोर्ट में लिखियो ताको डिटेल तार बाहर करिया दरकार नहीं इवन एनएफएचएस यू कैन राइट डायरेक्टली एनएफएचएस 4 5 बिकॉज़ दीस आर वेरी वेल नोन रिपोर्ट्स यू डोंट हैव टू एक्सप्लेन माने स्टार्टिंग में फुल लिखिया दरकार नहीं एसे जदी लिखो तो मे बी माने यदि कोन कि तुम को भी आंसर यदि मल्टीपल टाइम्स रेफर करिया चाहतो इनिशियली थरे फुल फॉर्म लिखि ब्रैकेट रे तार शॉर्ट फॉर्म लिखि देले भलो बट हियर देयर विल नॉट बी ए स्कोप कि या ऊपर तुम एते डिटेल ले तुम लिखियो बोली यू विल नॉट गेट द स्कोप हमें जस्ट गोटे स्टैटिस्टिक्स एथरू यूज करछे रादर यू शुड रिमेंबर दिस पार्ट जेंडर पैरिटी इंडेक्स ओके बार बार एटा लिखियो जेंडर पैरिटी इंडेक्स बिकॉज़ दिस इज अ गवर्नमेंट स्टैटिस्टिक्स ठीक है ओके एनी अदर डाउट्स इन दिस नो हायर एजुकेशन ऑल इंडिया सर्वे सी इवन एटा भी मु एटा चेक करके देखली मोर नोट रे एमती मु लिखि देली बस आई से देन आई हैड टू चेक सो आई डोंट नो से यूडी सेटा हेटा मु चेक करली but anyway you will not be able to remember entire thing in the ICA report well this is very well known okay. ICA report 2019 of Ministry of Education earlier it was called as Ministry of HRD now it is renamed as Ministry of Education so this report see ଯେମିତି ଏଇ report ଟା ହଉଛି ସ୍କୁଲ ଏଜୁକେସନ ଉପରେ ଏଇ report ଟା ହଉଛି ହାୟର ଏଜୁକେସନ ଉପରେ HEA3 ଅଛି तो ए रिपोर्ट कौन कहूची women's enrollment in his higher educational institutions has increased from 10% in 1950 to 49% in 2019. Don't need to remember this figure, but this figure you should remember. Almost around 49% amar hegelani 2019 ne. So that means still what is the level of women's enrollment amar enough achi enough nahi obviously. So we should also try to increase this. Okay. But see ଏଇଟା ବି ତ ଚलो 49% ବି ଏଟା ବି low ଅଛି ୟାଠୁ ବି ଆହୁରି low ଅଛି STEM courses ରେ STEM we had discussed science technology engineering and mathematics currently it is 29%. That means 71% of the students enrolling in STEM courses are men. So ଆମର ବହୁତ ସାରା initiative ଚାଲିଛି STEM ରେ girls ମାନଙ୍କୁ enroll କରିବା next see economic participation of women in India. By the way, why do you think is এটা କାହିଁକି ଅଛି STEM courses ରେ ଏତେ low level ର girls କାହିଁକି ଅଛନ୍ତି? What do you think? Is there any economic reason? Is there any political reason? Or do you think it is more about sociocultural reasons? Think and tell me.
So, there is a stereotype that women can't think cognitively or rationally. They are more emotional.
Okay. Yeah, there is. But it's when you said it, it sounds a bit funny because it's obviously very, very what can you say? Very gender biased kind of thinking. Women are
The people
emotional,
think
men
that
are
the woman can't think
yes,
rationally. That's why
correct.
I
So
don't.
that is one reason. So yeah, of course, it's no one among us should think like that. But yes, that is the socio-cultural reason. So my point is economic or political reason बेसी नहीं, mainly socio-cultural reason था. And if you see even parents आमे discuss करते ना, gender bias और gender stereotype आमे discuss करते parent माने कौन encourage करिए पिला मानू ତାଙ୍କର ପୁଅ ହେଲେ ତାକୁ encourage କରିବେ ତ engineer ho doctor ho ମାନେ almost everything he can be anything but girl ହେଲେ you will have only limited scope either you can be doctor you can be nurse you can be teacher maximum तो यह है so why will this kind of person why will the girl go to STEM they will not go towards STEM okay so these are socio-cultural reasons now what is the level of economic participation of women in India we had discussed about female labor force participation rate. This is the latest statistics. It will be periodic labor force survey. Again, PLFS 2023, you can directly write. Don't need to write entire this thing. But yeah, female labor force participation rate for लिख दो starting date. तापरे bracket रे लिख दो कि as per PLFS 2023 data. So now it has increased to 37%. Earlier it was very bad. 37 around 25 or 27% in देखी थी या पूर्व periodic labor force survey. Okay. So that means कि there is a huge number of women who are अच्छा यार माने या नुह कि बाकी जति परसेंटेज अछंती वुमेन्स माने किछि काम करना आमे एटा भी डिस्कस करथिलु कि नै कथा हो मेनी ऑफ देम आर फॉर एग्जांपल हाउसवाइफ्स but their contribution is not being counted under the formal economy or organized sector रे समन को काउंट करा जाओ नहीं that is the reason why this number is very low now once you start to count their contribution overnight you will see this number jump to somewhere around almost near 75% or even 80%. Unemployment rate, it is seen that it is more among female than men and among female it is more in urban areas than in rural areas. Okay, this part तो part तो बुझ पाथो more among female काहे की अछि but what is the reason for this part more in urban than rural areas logically can you think logically what could be the reason
In rural areas, female do not seek for employment. That's why
very
they
good
are not in the labor force.
they are no the point is ki in rural areas women are working in something or the other okay even if it is not being it is not a highly paid job or high pay payment kitchen still they are engaged and the reason they are engaged is out of necessity this is what try to understand out of necessity because in rural areas we are assuming kon korche eta to truth rural areas re usually the level of income of people is less so not that only men have to work women also have to help them they have to find some kind of employment self employment maybe or wage employment and this is being counted that is why the unemployment rate is less in rural areas but think of urban areas many in the cities if you see chalo cities re dui type of women achanti okay one type of women is completely housewives Another kind of women, they are working professionals. But if you see in the rural areas, whether you think of housewife or working professionals, all of them are, apart from working at home, they are also doing some other work. And this is what we also discussed now. This is the dual burden on women. Here also there is dual burden. Ethi dual burden किछ नहीं. But because this is a significant माने portion, that is why ये जो urban area रे हमारा unemployment rate टा अधिक अछि. Whereas rural area रे female मानकर unemployment rate टा कम अछि. बुझी होचे? Anyway, चलो ये सब जिनसा economics रा बेसी discuss हम. GS3 paper will discuss bit more. Employment under. Okay. Now, what is the impact of COVID-19? This was already the unemployment rate scenario in India. Impact of COVID-19 कौन है यहाँ ऊपर? Job loss बहुत सारा है. So, as per CMIE data, Center for um, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. Yes, remember this. Okay. Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. As per their data, you can simply write CMIE data. 2020 during first lockdown, the number of migrant workers who lost their jobs was male migrant workers, only 29% of them lost their jobs, whereas female workers 39% lost their jobs. यार माने कौन? माने हो suppose you are a employer. COVID-19 जता हला, so now सब shutdown जता ही गला, तुमको lay off करिया दरकार हला. Now who are you going to lay off? First you will lay off the female workers, because in your mind you think कि female worker तांकर productivity level टा less than male worker. This is the problem. Now this is not because ki their expertise or their capability is any less than male worker, but because of the bias of the employer itself. First they have laid off the female workers. That is why the, if you see 10 percentage point or difference, you see percentage point PP, not 10% or different, 10 percentage points or difference, 29% to 39%. Is this an example of gender difference or not, or gender bias or not? Someone's audio is audio mute कर दिया. Glass ceiling हमें discuss करथिलु. What organization कहार audio down अछि? I don't know whose audio that is. Glass ceiling effect we had discussed. What organization no movement, upward movement इतले होची, सेतले गोटे invisible barrier women मान को stop करछि to reach the topmost positions. This is also something you can mention. Now let us move towards the solution part. तो तुमर जहाँ भी आंसर लिखियो गोटे पार्ट प्रॉब्लम रहियो, नेक्स्ट पार्ट रहियो कि हमें सारो सॉल्यूशन कौन करिया. सो फर्स्ट पार्ट इफ यू सी हेल्थ एंड सैनिटेशन में फर्स्ट हमें कहया कि हमें वाटर सैनिटरी एंड हाइजीन ऊपर कौन एक्शन नहीं परिया. हमें कहया कि बजेटरी आउटले को इंक्रीज कर दवा, एंड इनफैक्ट दिस हैज हैपेंड. आई थिंक यूनियन बजेट 2022 रे गोटे ह्यूज बजेटरी आउटले बढ़े दिया वाला. ओके, एंड ऑन वाश सेक्टर, and one of, for example, see even these schemes, Jal Jeevan Mission, this is related to rural pipe water supply. This will have direct impact on water and sanitation and hygiene or not for women. Swachh Bharat Mission IHL, individual household latrine toilet, Swachh Bharat Mission under the toilet build jo hochi, this will have direct impact. So these are schemes which will impact or improve women's water sanitary and hygiene. सेकंड हमें कहया कि मैटरनल हेल्थ केयर को हमें बेटर करिया. प्रधानमंत्री मातृवंदना योजना, इंस्टीट्यूशनल डिलीवरी, एथरे कोन की जो प्रेग्नेंट वुमेन मानन को मॉनिटरी सपोर्ट मिलुची, इंस्टीट्यूशनल डिलीवरी पाई भी प्रमोशन मिलुची. ओके, तार एग्जैक्ट अमाउंट देखि आई थिंक 5000 और समथिंग दिखि कैश बेनिफिट भी तांको दिया होची who are getting institutional delivery. So this can be an example of maternal health care. Is there any other scheme that you can think which will have direct impact on maternal health care?
Ujjwala scheme reduces household pollution.
Okay, pollution. Yes, pollution. Maybe you can say about the survival part. में Ujjwala scheme पकेदा. Ujjwala scheme, correct. It actually India रा बहुत सारा women मान करो level of percentage of lungs related disorder is one of the highest in India because of cooking fuel ସେମାନେ ଯୋଉ use କରୁଛନ୍ତି, that is the fossil fuel, ଯୋଉ ଜାଳେଣୀ ଆମେ କହୁ ନା, ଯୋଉ ଏମିତି ଗୋବରରୁ ଘଷି ବାହାରେ, କାଠ ପତ୍ର, ତ ସେ ସବୁ ୟୁଜ କରିବା ଦ୍ୱାରା ପ୍ଲସ୍ ଘରର ଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଚର ତମେ ଯଦି ଦେଖିଥିବ, ଯୋଉ ମାଟି ଘର ହେଇଥାଏ ୟୁଜୁଆଲି ସେଥିରେ ଭେଣ୍ଟିଲେସନ ନଥାଏ, so combined with these factors it led to a huge rise in ମାନେ traditionally Indian women ମାନଙ୍କର level of lungs related disorder is very high, so because of this also Ujjwala scheme, one of the main reasons for Ujjwala scheme was this also, okay. ତାଙ୍କୁ LPG ଆମେ ଯଦି subsidized rate ରେ ଦବୁ ତାହେଲେ they will gradually shift, but problem ଏଟା ପରେ ହେଲା କି starting ରେ LPG cylinder କୁ ବହୁତ subsidized rate ରେ ଦିଆଗଲା, ପୁଣି again even under Ujjwala scheme ରେ ତାର price ବଢିବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲା, market price ତ ଅଲଗା ଛାଡ, Ujjwala scheme ରେ ବଢିବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲା, then now women are again going back to the fossil fuel, so this is the issue. Anyway ଚାଲ ଆମର ସେଥିରେ discuss କରିବାର ନାହିଁ, we'll see only କି କଣ ହେଇପାରିବ. Crash ଆମେ କହିବା crash ଆମେ ଯଦି promotion କରିବା, promotion of crash facilities କାହା under ରେ, for example NREGS under ରେ there is a provision कि female laborers ମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ crash facility ହବ, है कि नहीं? crash माने कौन? What is the meaning of crash?
बेबी को जो रखा हुआ.
Very good. So suppose one female worker or laborer, she has a baby to take care of, ଯଦି ସେଠି ତାକୁ ରଖିବା ପାଇଁ କୌଣସି ଗୋଟେ ଜାଗା ନାହିଁ ତାହେଲେ ସେ ତ କାମକୁ ଆସିବେ ହିଁ ନାହିଁ, so that means we are again losing out on the female labor force participation. That is why crash facilities will increase the participation of females, as well as it will also have better impact on their health. Don't ask how, but it is usually seen that crash facility जो country रे better crash facility अछि, the general health level of women is also better. Okay.
ଆମେ ओडिसार किछि स्कीम को भी एठी पॉइंट आउट करि परिया, एमति कि
Yes,
ममता
definitely.
खुशी हैला,
Mamta scheme. Okay, Mamta scheme you can definitely write. Khushi you can
खुशी
write. Correct, you can write. Hunger and malnutrition you see. Hunger and malnutrition कौन हमें कुछ पोषण 2.0. Okay. This is to remove malnutrition. Hunger रो मोर point एते मने पड़लानी exactly. Do you know any specific schemes which is चलो MDM तो सेटा है गला children मानक ପାଇଁ, women मानक ପାଇଁ hunger related किसी specifically अच्छी? I don't think so.
मुख्यमंत्री
सर ओवरऑल पीडीएस पे जो अच्छे.
हाँ, you can write definitely PDS, NFSA under you can.
targeted PDS for pregnant and lactating women.
Which scheme?
So targeted PDS.
Okay,
for
targeted
pregnant
PDS.
and
Targeted PDS रो गोटे component अछि कि for pregnant and lactating women.
Okay, हाँ sir, सेटा.
Okay, okay. ठीक है, you can write.
सर मुख्यमंत्री संपूर्ण
स्कीम को
पुष्टि
भी
योजना.
परिवा.
Sorry, one at a time. के कहो जा मुख्यमंत्री
संपूर्ण पुष्टि योजना.
संपूर्ण पुष्टि योजना.
सर ओडिसा.
Okay, ओडिसा रो. Okay. Definitely you can write. Okay. Similarly, let's see the next point, vaccination. Many people will forget about this part. You can माने एटा गोटे value addition ही परियो. To write कि there are some vaccination drive which are specific to women. For example, drive तो कोआ बनी, vaccine बाची सरवा वैक एटा vaccination drive under रे आसुनी. For example, हमर जेंती मिशन इंद्रधनुष अछि ना, women specific सेंती किछि vaccine नहीं, in general तो सब vaccine अछि. But this is a vaccine which is for cervical cancer. So हमें कहि पारे कि ए वाला vaccination which is targeting diseases mostly faced by women will also help their health, है ना. हमें काली डिस्कस करथिल ना, cervical cancer, human papilloma virus is one of the main causes for cervical cancer, but because of social taboo most Indian women will not get themselves checked. Similarly, think about survival. To prevent female feticide and infanticide, PCPNDT act ଗୋଟେ ଅଛି, prevention of prenatal something, prenatal diagnostic and testing something, okay, prevention of something prenatal diagnostics act. Okay, just check it once. लंबा नाटे ଗୋଟେ ବଡ଼ একটা ଅଛି. So you can here also write about beti bachao beti padhao. Correct. This is not a scheme, this is a campaign.
सुकन्या योजना सर.
Sukanya Yojana. Correct. So women ମାନଙ୍କର
ଗୋଟେ
protection
ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କରେ
ପାଇଁ
ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କରେ ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ ସ୍କିମ୍ ବି ସାଇଜ ଆସିଛି ଆମର ଯଦି ଫିମେଲ କ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡିଡେଟ୍ ନାଁରେ ରଖାଯାଏ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କରେ ଡିପୋଜିଟ୍ ହାଏଷ୍ଟ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ମିଳୁଛି।
economic part you can write under banking services. Oh, chalo banking services कौन रखा? In general, economic part you can write some points. I think which कौन था ना होता चीज होता yes, government is contributing some part for the education of young girls na. Which scheme is that? Some kind of saving certificate, but saving certificate kind of what a scheme ଅଛି ନା କି ଜାଣି ଚଲା ମୁଁ ଏଟା ଦେଖି ତମକୁ କହିବି ଦି ତିନିଟା ସ୍କିମ୍ ୟା ଉପରେ ଲେଖିଦବା ଇକୋନୋମିକ ସ୍ପେସିଫିକ ଟୁ ୱିମେନ୍ ଓକେ
मिशन शक्ति
ମିଶନ ଶକ୍ତି ୟେସ୍ ଓଡ଼ିଶାର ଇନ୍ ଜେନରାଲ ମିଶନ ଶକ୍ତି ହେଇପାରିବ ମିଶନ ଶକ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ କଣ କାମ କରିବ ମିଶନ ଶକ୍ତି ଅଫ ଓଡ଼ିଶାକୁ you can write this ଗୋଟେ ବକ୍ସ କରିକି ଆମେ ଗିମିକ ବିଷୟରେ କଥା ହେଇଥିଲୁ make it a gimmick gimmick in the sense କି ତାକୁ ଗୋଟେ ବକ୍ସ କରିକି ଲିଖିପାରିବ କି case study ମିଶନ ଶକ୍ତି in ଓଡ଼ିଶା you can write କି recently ଏବେ जो स्कीम अंडर मिशन शक्ति दଉଛି ନା women ମାନଙ୍କୁ subsidized rate ରେ ई vehicle କିଣିବା ପାଇଁ ପଇସା ଦିଆ ହଉଛି ଓକେ ନା you can
ସାର୍
write
ଏବେ ବି
this
ଆଉ
and
ଗୋଟେ ବି ନୂଆ ମିଶନ
ଶକ୍ତି
ଶକ୍ତିରେ
କାଫେ କରିବା ପାଇଁ କି
okay you can write n number of things शक्ति cafe एमती ଗୋଟେ ହେଇଛି ସେ ମିଶନ ଶକ୍ତି ହିଁ କରିଛି
यस सर
अच्छा जो women SHG ମାନଙ୍କୁ ନେଇକି millets यूज କରା ହଉଛି ତ ସେଇଟା शक्ति
यस
cafe
सर
correct yes right about that you can definitely
ସାର୍
write that
ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ବି
ଏଇ ସବୁ
ଏବେ
ଜିନିଷକୁ ନା
ନୂଆ ବି ଆସିଛି ଆମର
ହୁଁ
ମିଶନ ଶକ୍ତିରେ ଜିରୋ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟରେ ଦିଆଯାଉଛି ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଇକୋନୋମିକାଲି ଷ୍ଟ୍ରଙ୍ଗ ହେବା ପାଇଁ ଜିରୋ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟରେ ଫର୍ 5 lakhs ମାନେ 5 ଲକ୍ଷ ଟଙ୍କା ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଉପରେ ସେମାନଙ୍କର କିଛି ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ପଡ଼ିବ ନାହିଁ ସେଇ ମିଶନ ଶକ୍ତିରେ ନୂଆ ଲଞ୍ଚ ହେଇଛି
ई vehicle वाला तो ନୁହଁ ନା ଆଉ କିଛି ମାନେ ତାଙ୍କର
ନା ନା
ଇକୋନୋମିକ
ନା
ଏଣ୍ଡେଭର ପାଇଁ ଆଚ୍ଛା ତାଙ୍କର ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟଅପ
ହଁ
ଫାର୍ଟଅପ ଏଇ
ଏଇ
ଟାଇପ ର କିଛି କରିବାକୁ ଓକେ
ହଁ ସେଇଟା ଯୋଉ ଏଇ ଭେହିକଲଟା ଆଣିବେ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ସହିତ ଦେବା ପାଇଁ ପଡ଼ିବ ସୁଝିବା ପାଇଁ ପଡ଼ିବ
ଓକେ
କିନ୍ତୁ ଏବେ ଯୋଉ ନୂଆ ଆସିଛି ଅନ୍ୟ କିଛି ମାନେ 5 lakhs ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଯଦି ସେମାନେ ଉଠେଇକି କୌଣସି ବିଜନେସରେ ଲଗାଉଛନ୍ତି ତ ତାଙ୍କ ପାଖରୁ କୌଣସି ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ନିଆଯିବ
ओके ओके ठीक है so that's a good scheme but the problem is always in the implementation so both statistics बहुत बड़ा बड़ा दे दिया जाए but usually the implementation part is very lax okay now let's move to the next part हमें बहुत इतने time spend कर देंगे we should try to move on a bit faster okay see primary and secondary education में कौन माने कौन scheme ହେଇଛି बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ universal enrollment this is part of our in general also national education policy as well as our right to education act wash facilities toilets in schools these are being built under SPM also community project under build ହେଇ ପାରିବ okay higher secondary education under female participation in higher educational institutions affirmative action एटा हम कहे कि एटा हम सजेशन दबा कि हायर सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन में अफर्मेटिव एक्शन आसु जेंडर बेस्ड कोटास ओके R&D रे women in STEM रे हमको तम प्रमोट करया पे तीनटा सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ प्रोग्राम आछि किरण क्यूरी एंड गति या किछि भी डिटेल जीवा दरकार नहीं मु भी तारो डिटेल आई डोंट नो इन डिटेल ओके the point is these are all similar schemes सब वर्ष गवर्नमेंट कोन करियो गोटे नुवा स्कीम आनियो ताको माने अगेन रीपैकेजिंग एंड रीसेलिंग से सेम सिमिलर स्कीम को आउथरे पैकेजिंग करी कहबे एट आसीला क्यूरी ऑलमोस्ट सेम फॉर एग्जांपल किरण स्कीम इफ यू सी जो किछि वुमेन रिसर्चर माने ड्यू टू देयर फैमिली कमिटमेंट्स ସେମାନେ ମଝିରେ ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ଛାଡି ଦେଇକି ଘରେ ରହି ଯାଇଥିଲେ ହାଉସ ୱାଇଫ ଟାଇପ ର ହେଇ ଯାଇଥିଲେ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ପୁଣି ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ଏରିଆକୁ ଆଣିବା ପାଇଁ ଏଇ ସ୍କିମଟା ହେଇଛି କ୍ୟୁରି ସେମିତି ଆଇ ଥିଙ୍କ अगेन से R&D रिलेटेड वुमेन ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆଣିବା ପାଇଁ okay so these are very similar schemes that government is recycling eta sabu union government ro so you don't need to explain in detail just mention the names kiran curie and gati okay. women in STEM now come to this part हमर बहुत आज बहुत स्लो टिके जाउछ you should try to move a bit faster हमर बहुत पार्ट अछि हमको आज एटा ही पढियार अछि secularism communalism and regionalism okay. So political empowerment if you see currently a act as women reservation act 2023 106th constitutional amendment through re So it has enabled 1/3 seats to be reserved for women in lower houses of union and state legislatures, that is Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies. देखो सब लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली प्लस दिल्ली लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली रे भी अछि, पुडुचेरी पई लागू हेई नै, एमती भी इन जनरल this will not be implemented till 2024 or 25 because 2021 delimitation act अपन तो delimitation अपन तो हेई नै, so next delimitation जेबे हबो ता परे जाई के एटा लागू हबो, for the timing हमने बस करी के रखी दी छन. Okay. 1/3 seats reserved in local self government. 1/3 seat सेटा हेतला केबे 73rd and 74th amendment through रे हेतला, you know this. So if you can write this statistics, more than 40,000 women are holding posts in local self governments including PRIs and ULBs, panchayats and urban local bodies. Urban local bodies like municipalities, municipal corporations. Okay. So missing around more than 40,000 women are there. सोशियो कल्चरल एम्पावरमेंट कौन, पब्लिक अवेयरनेस करिया, दीज आर वेरी जेनेरिक पॉइंट्स हम सब डिस्कस करछु, बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, सोशल मीडिया कैंपेन चलची, सेल्फी विथ डॉटर, मी टू मूवमेंट, सी इवन this movement actually put into focus the sexual and reproductive rights, sexual assaults faced by women, and that indirectly generated the issue of sexual कौन कहया हमें sexual right तो कोआ हबनी, safety of women. You can make this one point. Bail Bajao campaign. Do you know about this campaign? Bail Bajao campaign गोटे मजे चलथिला, तार पॉइंट थिला कि जो माने डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस होची, यूजुअली हम लोग माने कोन कोन ताको फैमिली मैटर एटा समान सॉल्व करिए, बट इट इज लाइक इफ यू आर सीइंग कि someone is getting tortured, so you should go and bail बजाओ, ताको घरे किछि गोटे पार्टनर चलथे bail बजाओ. Very noble thought, but I think कि आम सोसाइटी एटा को एक्सेप्ट करे और टाइम लागिबो. Now let's come to this part, women's organization. देखो एटा बहुत ही फैक्चुअल पार्ट अछि, एक्सप्लेन करिया को सेंति बहुत किछि नै. I don't even think even गोटे सिंगल क्वेश्चन भी एथरो आसीबो, but just because सिलेबस रे मेंशन हेछि women and women's organization, so हमको किछि फर्दर मटेरियल दरकार. So this
sir,
yes,
sorry to interrupt. So economic participation बढ़िया पे हमें वे फॉरवर्ड कौन को करियो?
इकोनॉमिक पार्टिसिपेशन बढ़िया पे हम कहे कि फर्स्टली हम ताको ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेस डेवलपमेंट करिया. ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेस भितर आसी होची इन जनरल एजुकेशन लेवल तांकर बढ़ेया, हमें कहे कि ताको स्किल डेवलपमेंट करेया, ताको कहे कि हमें ताको फॉर एग्जांपल वोकेशनल कोर्सेस ताको दवा. देन आ गोटे पार्ट हो कि इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटीज भी ताको दवा दरकार, अपॉर्चुनिटीज रो भी लैक अछि, सो विल सी कि कोठे जेंडर बैरियर अछि. सो थिंक अबाउट ए पर्सपेक्टिव रो भाबो, एग्रीकल्चर पार्ट ता तो छाडी दियो, भाबो कि इंडस्ट्रीज आ सर्विसेज सेक्टर रे कोन कोन इश्यू अछि. इंडस्ट्री सेक्टर रे होछि कि मेन होछि स्किल डेवलपमेंट नै, सेति स्किल नै. व्हाई? बिकॉज़ वुमेन आर नॉट अप्लाइंग फॉर द स्किल इटसेल्फ, तमे ताको वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग द स्किल डेवलपमेंट करेया. सर्विसेज सेक्टर रे इश्यू कोन, सर्विसेज सेक्टर रे इश्यू होछि एचआरडी, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स को डेवलप करियर अछि, फॉर एग्जांपल रिसर्च रे किछि जिवे. सिमिलरली सर्विसेज सेक्टर रे ग्लास सीलिंग इफेक्ट आसियो, ग्लास सीलिंग इफेक्ट रो क्योर कोन, पब्लिक अवेयरनेस क्योर होई जो, इंटरनल हमरो जो कोन कहबे इंटरनल ऑडिट तो कहबनी, व्हाट इज द टर्म, इंटरनल स्क्रूटिनी, यस इंटरनल कंप्लेंट्स कमिटी. फॉर एग्जांपल विशाखा गाइडलाइन अंडर जिंदे इंटरनल कंप्लेंट्स कमिटी सब ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हवा कथा. सो इटा चलो सेटा तो सेक्सुअल
So
ऊपर हे गला.
workplace safety हमें कोई करियो?
वेरी गुड, वर्कप्लेस सेफ्टी भी सर्टेनली यू कैन से. You are now right now in such a frame of mind कि nothing you cannot, it's not like anything will be asked and you will not have some points, you will always be able to generate some points, yes or no?
Yes, sir. Sir, I was asking if there is any specific schemes in economic sphere or not. Something
बाहर
है ना
कले
कि
बाहरी
general?
ना
Okay.
ना बाहर कले बाहरी फॉर श्योर बाहरी बहुत सारा बाहरी.
Okay.
बट कथा होची आमे एमते डिस्कस करथिले ना, हमको आंसर लिखिया पे जति हमर स्ट्रक्चर कर देले सेति हे जिवो, बहुत बेसी डिटेल ले जीवा दरकार नै. आई डोंट थिंक कि से माने बहुत ही स्पेसिफिकली ए भला गोटे गोटे पॉइंट बाहर करके तुमको कहबे कि वोकेशनल एजुकेशन दैट टू फॉर वुमेन इन जनरल पचारि पारंती
ना सर
वोकेशनल
जस्ट खाली गोटे
स्किल डेवलप.
एग्जांपल दे दो आपको मैंने
हाँ हाँ
पचारले ना. ओके.
ओके ठीक है. सो लेट्स मूव टू द Next part, women's organization. Introductory part. Women's organization during first see. देखो एथरू क्वेश्चन यूजुअली किसी भी पचरा हबनी इन जनरल जहाँ क्वेश्चन आसे वुमेन्स इश्यूज रो ही आसियो बट वुमेन्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एटलीस्ट यू शुड नो ए फ्यू नेम्स नेम्स जानले कोन हो किछि ना किछि यू कैन माने किछि बनई परियो ता ऊपर ओके किछि बेसिक कंटेंट थिले नाउ यू कैन मेक एन आंसर सो लेट अस ट्राई टू हैव सम बेसिक कंटेंट कोन वुमेन्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हमें देखिया कि माने कॉलोनियल टाइम रो एपर्यंत कोन कोन केमती डेवलप हेछि यूजुअली इवन कॉलोनियल टाइम भी पचरा हबनी यूजुअली जहाँ पचराबो पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस रो ही पचराबो ओके but for the sake of किसी ଗୋଟେ introduction दवा पे you can write कि it started from as early as 1905 या अगरू देख ले maybe some Christian missionaries you can even claim कि they even started earlier okay but चलो women's organization हमें इटा को अब one of the earliest भारत महिला परिषद 1905 रे and women participation in mass movements actually led to increasing awareness of politics माने women's role in politics politics रे women मानकर issue एठू आसीगला कि व्हाई बिकॉज मास मूवमेंट को हमको आनिया पे डिफरेंट सेक्शन ऑफ सोसाइटी को हमें आनिया को ट्राई करिया हमको तांकर प्रॉब्लम ही इशू गुडा पिकअप करियो पड़ियो इनिशियली इफ यू हैव सीन इन मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री व्हाट दे डिड वाज इनिशियली कांग्रेस वाज लिमिटेड टू दिस अर्बन एलाइट हैव यू रेड दिस और नॉट अर्बन एलाइट हु आर वेरी एजुकेटेड क्लास मेनी ऑफ देम हैड एक्चुअली गॉन टू द माने बाहर को जाई कि बिला फिला पढ़ी के आस्ते बट व्हेन वी स्टार्टेड टू हैव मास मूवमेंट सो तांकू नॉर्मल रूरल इंडिया लोकों को दरकार डिफरेंट सेक्शन ऑफ पीपल पार्टिसिपेशन दरकार फॉर एग्जांपल वुमेन फॉर एग्जांपल स्टूडेंट फॉर एग्जांपल फार्मर्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट है ना और इंक्लूडिंग एग्रीकल्चरल लेबरर्स so now we need when we need their support so we need to pick up their issues when we picked up similarly women's issues then we saw ki more and out of that mass movement many women's organization also started okay Karachi session of Congress 1931 एते बहुत सारा गोटे रिजोल्यूशन ऑन फंडामेंटल राइट्स नि आइतला सेतरे बहुत सारा फंडामेंटल राइट्स लिस्ट आउट कराइतला वन ऑफ द मेनी ऑफ द फंडामेंटल राइट्स इंक्लूडेड फॉर एग्जांपल जेंडर इक्वालिटी इन डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स गोटे कहले कि एडल्ट सफरेज बेसिस रे हमर इलेक्शन हबो so even that was gender neutral so both women and men of adult men and women will be able to vote equal rights for women in many areas personal laws रे भी कहला so these are resolution on fundamental rights will also led to आमे introduction एमितिया लिखि परिया ई सब पॉइंट रे introduction पे कि these you can either write कि 1905 रो भारत महिला परिषद रो women's organization and this was one of the earliest instances you can also introduce with mass movement for women's issues in politics started to grow you can also write कि 1931 resolution पर women's rights were given recognition officially by the Congress and that led to the growth of later day period growth of women's organization now let us see कि later day growth कौन हैला major organizations if you see 1950s रू see a time रे if you see colonial time रे भी किछि थिले okay but question will not come from those kind of that early okay question जहाँ भी पचरा हबो usually post independence परटू पचरा हबो 1950s परटू if you see organized way रे women's organization started to be developed and examples are National Federation of Indian Women NFIW Samajwadi Mahila Sabha you just need to remember a few names only and one of the characteristics of this era रो कौन characteristic थिला कि फिर भी till 1950s also there was limited participation of women why because they were not raising issues faced by common women not raising the common माने even till now it was bit elitist now if you see 1950s ru even 1960s रे धीरे चेंज होगा को लागिला 1970s onward this was a changing time in women's organization 1970s was a very turbulent time period in this there were many new organizations if you see point 2 and point 3 both are 1970s related only okay 1970s रे बहुत सारा organization आसिला सेमाने कोन issue को address कले now it actually common women मानकर issue सब start आ एई women मानकर issue मान को pick up करके organization start कले poor women मानकर economical condition working women especially female laborers farmers so here you can give example of Shramik Mahila Sangathan working women's forum okay. The name itself suggests Shramik Mahila. So wage laborers, to farmers, working women, in general, any kind of other female workers.
Sir, one question.
Yes.
Sir, like, was there any particular reason why this kind of changes happened over time, or like it's gradual?
The reason, I think, main reason for this was that even till 1950s, even during colonial times, the issue of women become, even if the issues were taken up, they were becoming subjugated to the national issues. Okay. And the second part is, kahinki puni, again you will ask, kahinki hutla? So were they very vocal about it? They were not vocal. You see, even Congress sessions, you see what was the level of participation. तुम यदि ऊपर सुपरफ्लुअसली तुम यदि स्टडी करियो हिस्ट्री रे से देखियो कि ओके आनी बेसेंट थिले है ना, देयर आर मेनी अदर women leaders, but you see whether their voice was counted or not. They were not that powerful within Congress. Within Congress itself, there was a lot of gender bias. Many of these leaders, they had to face a lot of gender bias from the other Congress leaders. I'll tell you another thing, don't be offended or anything. Leaders like Bal Gangadhar Tilak, you see their history. He was actually against women empowerment. He was very pro conservative, both conservative. He was, when he wanted free India, no doubt, but in social sector he was very conservative. And his opposite was people like MG Ranade. So there was this politics also. So women issue front को केमिति आसियो, national issue को ही हमने सब बड़े front रे रखले ना. 1970s around रे issue कौन हला? 1970s around रे India itself was undergoing a lot of social turbulence. There was a lot of corruption. There was a lot of black marketing. If you remember, the Congress government itself was not popular. 1960s under रे different non-Congress government आसीथिले state मानकरे. So there was a tension between center and state. And so तापई administrative machinery itself was lacks the कोहाबनी. Administrative machinery did not know who to respond to. So this was taken advantage of by the corruption, black marketing, all of these things. So because of this, housewife, normal amaro housewife, they started to face huge problems. कौन problem face कले? Inflation, for example. Inflation अबे black marketing हेले inflation हो. Who is directly bearing the brunt of inflation? देखो घरर पुओ माने, because we are talking about a traditional society where men were working, women were housewives. When the man is earning and giving money to the housewife, he expects कि she will be able to run the household for at least 1 month. And now she is facing this pressure कि मते गोटे मास केमती चलेବାକୁ पड़ियो जेतेबेले परिवार रेट एतिकी हाई हेलानी. So these were problems which were directly impacting women of India. And finally, माने धीरे धीरे pressure बढ़ी बढ़ी when it reached a point, then that spontaneously led to the growth of politics led by women. And this politics was manifested in women's organization. They started to become more and more organized. And सेतले आउ किछि भी factor अछि, women's leaders भी बहुत सारा आसिले. We'll see या पर से बहुत सारा issue देखिया हमें आउ केतडा factor अछि. But here you can add a value addition इतरे करि परियो. सेवा by इला भाट. सेवा stands for self-employed women's association. Okay. गुजरात रेडा सेवाटा अछि. Headquarter तारा. It is one of the largest organization of informal female workers in the world. Not one of the, actually the largest organization of informal female workers. Okay. It also works as a trade union for female workers. So this is a case study that you can write for value addition. Ki for example, Seva is an example of a good women's organization which was taking up the cause for women. Similarly, if you see what were the different trade union movements or organizations led by women in this time, again, this is the time of 1970s. They were raising issues of these kind of issues, working condition of women, unorganized sector, yaro issues jaja. For example, payment related issues, wage, gender based wage gap, health hazards, different, even mines and minerals be without any safety equipment, they were being sent. And economic and other kind of exploitations, workplace harassment, here you can write about workplace harassment. So all of these led to growth of women's organization, different organizations. अगेन कंटिन्यूइंग आमे ए विषय कथा होतली इश्यू बेस्ड मूवमेंट्स 1970s रे बहुत सारा इश्यू बेस्ड मूवमेंट हला वी विल आमे तार नाम सब नबा गोटे गोटे ए सब नाम गुडा मन रखियो प्लीज प्रोटेस्ट पॉलिटिक्स एंड राइज ऑफ न्यू वुमेन्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नव निर्माण मूवमेंट गुजरात रे हितला against black marketing corruption inflation because see these are all directly impacting the women of the society not the men are also facing similar problem but घरे प्रेशर डायरेक्टली कहाँ ऊपर पड़ुଛି women ऊपर पड़ुଛି this is one kind of problem other kind of problem दहेज विरोधी चेतना मंच forum against rape स्त्री संघर्ष these are points you should try to remember ଦି ତିନିଟା organization ର ନାମ ଲେଖିଦେଲେ ସେମାନେ ଖୁସି ହେଇଯିବେ okay then come to the next phase 1980s re see 1980s re it's not like these organizations were not working but 1980s रे new issue add ହେଇଗଲା new issue और new theme गुडा add ହେଇଗला कौन new theme ecological movement plus women empowerment sometimes it is also known as eco-feminist movement okay? which is ecological movement led by feminist leaders you can give examples of chipko movement narmada bachao movement is actually an excellent example it was led by medha patkar apico movement chipko movement bhaliya chipko movement jani you must have read about it na गढ़वाल हिल्स रे तळे समाने किछि लॉगर्स माने गवर्नमेंट सपोर्टेड माने गवर्नमेंट को इंडायरेक्ट सपोर्ट थाई कि पॉलिटिकल पार्टी रो सपोर्ट थाई कि जेता बेले किछि लॉगर्स आसिले से गछ काटियाकू सेटिकार लोकल वुमेन माने कोन कले गछ को कुंडे के धरि छिडाले तुम गछ काटी परिबेन गछ काटी गले कोन यू हैव टू किल देम सो अंडर द प्रेशर गवर्नमेंट हैड टू बैन फाइनली कि नहीं तुम एमितिया मन इच्छा गछ काटी परिबो नहीं एंड अ सिमिलर मूवमेंट हैपेंड इन कर्नाटका एपिको मूवमेंट नर्मदा बचाओ आंदोलन स्लाइटली डिफरेंट सरदार सरोवर डैम तैयारी हुआ पई एक्चुअली सेठी बहुत सारा लोगों को डिस्प्लेस करा हला और स्टार्टिंग में तो डिस्प्लेस करिया हुआ हला कि ताको डिस्प्लेस करके रिहैबिलिटेशन करा हबो मेधा पाटकर स्टार्टेड दिस मूवमेंट कि नहीं हमें एठू जिबा ही नहीं प्लस सेकंड पॉइंट होची कि we don't want your rehabilitation we want to live here and she was against the building of the dam itself she gave many बहुत सारा थ्योरी से कहला कि एठी डैम हेले फॉर एग्जांपल तार इकोलॉजिकल फ्लोटा रहिबनी बेसिक मिनिमम फ्लो जो रिवर रहया कथा हेटा रहिबनी आ इकोसिस्टम रे चेंजेस आसी व्हिच आर ऑल ट्रू बट यार काउंटर भी अछि कि this was also beneficial in the long term for the entire region okay? So we are not going to get into details about this I don't know if you know this or not medha patkar was then jailed also recently she was jailed and she came out of the jail also because the current government sees her ki she is against development ki she is misusing people's sentiment to halt development but we are not going to go into that other women's organization कौन कौन you should just try to mention a few points जहाँ जति मन पड़ला जति mention कर दो all india women's conference national alliance of women's organization अन्नपूर्णा महिला मंडल स्वाधीना कस्तूरबा मेमोरियल ट्रस्ट भारतीय ग्रामीण महिला संघ okay? जति मन पड़े मन पके दो पीडीएफ टा शेयर कर दो obviously this is your homework try to just a simple google search करके देखियो कि feminist movements in india जो different wave रे और different phases रे develop करची how it has developed and what were the characteristics of each phase what were the main demands of the each phase okay so you will usually see that earlier जो wave रो और earlier phase रो जो feminist movement हेतियो से सब बहुत ही existential movement हेतियो in the sense कि safety of women okay they would be on equal opportunities in economic sphere later on it will माने नुआ नुआ सब problem बाहरियो ecological problem representation of women in political sphere okay? Finally fourth wave रे देखियो दी this is dominated by social media here you can write about me too movement ये सब जिंस चलछि एबे हम फोर्थ वेव रे चलिछि ओके चलो ये सब जिंस तो I don't think they will ask this point also extra something if you want you can write any doubt so far
सर ग्रॉस रे एमती क्वेश्चन आसी पारे कि सर हाउ वुमेन ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हेल्प्ड इन वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट हे पारे सर कि हाउ इट हेल्प्ड इंडियन इकोनॉमी एमती सर किछ आसी पारे कि ग्रॉस रे गुड क्वेश्चन
gross means overall कि overall how women's organization develops this ନାଇଁ ମୁଁ ଏମିତି ପଚାରିନି ୟୁପିଏସସି ରେ ପଚାରୁନାହାନ୍ତି ଆଉ ଓପିଏସସି ରେ କଣ ପଚାରିବେ ସେମାନେ ବି ତ ମତେ ଲାଗୁଛି ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟ କପି ପେଷ୍ଟ ମାରିଛନ୍ତି ବୋଲି ନିଜେ ବି ଏତେ ଭଲସେ I doubt it whether they have read it or not otherwise if you see women's organization will try to search how many UPSC previous year questions are there, very less. तो OPSC रे ସେମାନେ କଣ ହିଁ ପଚାରେ, ଯଦି ପଚାରେ ବହୁତ ସିମ୍ପଲ ପଚାରିବେ କି how did women's organization grow in India in the post independence period, one question like that. Or they can ask name or enumerate a few women's organization who worked in overall this a field रे काम करଥିଲେ, ଦି ତିନିଟା field ଦେଇ ପାନା. Okay, I don't think ସେମାନେ ଏତେ ଡିଟେଲ ଯିବେ ବୋଲି, ଏତେ ଡିଟେଲ ଏମିତି ମେଟେରିଆଲ ବି ଏତେ ବେଶୀ ନାହିଁ, କଣ କରିବେ, କିଛି ତ ସେମିତି ମେଟେରିଆଲ ବି ନାହିଁ. In general, whatever there is, you can mention a few things and you have to make some content on the spot. I mean the brainstorming is a technique ଶିଖିଛୁ ନା, you have to make some content. ମାନେ suppose you, if you can remember many of these points, then you can make a few content. That is the point. 1970s ର ଆମେ discuss କଲୁ କାହିଁକି ଏତେ ସାରା women's organization grow କଲା. ସେ concept ଗୁଡା can you write or not? You can write about black marketing, you can write about corruption, you can write about inflation. Because of these were directly impacting Indian women. So concept you can otherwise write. Concept लिखी दो, ଆଉ ଦି ତିନିଟା ଏମିତି ମନେ ପକେଇ लिखी दो, ସ୍ୱାଧୀନା କସ୍ତୁରବା memorial trust, okay, ନାଓ, ଏସବୁ ଜିନିଷ लिखी दो, ଦି ତିନିଟା point. But I don't think even ଗୋଟେ single question ବି ଏଥିରୁ ଆସିବ women's organization. Women ରୁ ତ ତିନି ଚାରିଟା question ଆସିବ for sure. Okay. Women's organization, I doubt it. Okay. So let's move on to the next very small chapter today, secularism. By the way, this chapter is bit different from polity वाला chapter. Polity रे तुम्हें यहाँ पर यार political angle टाको पढ़ियो. This is we are studying from social perspective, secularism. Okay. Otherwise, from polity perspective, we will read ki secularism, for example, articles कौन कौन. What are the articles? For example, article 25, 26, 27, है ना? ये सब article 28 I think. चार्टा है ना 25 to 28 religion based है.
Yes.
There are articles, article 44. So all of these articles we will read in polity. Polity perspective पूरा हमें पढ़ो. We are reading it from social issues perspective, society, Indian society. So tell me first point, what is the meaning of secularism? Kindly take running notes. Secularism, because ये दिटा topic ना बहुत small topics अच्छे, तो तारा समझे readymade किसी दरकार नहीं. Just take running notes, okay? What is the meaning of secularism?
सर तार दिटा कंपोनेंट अछि, ओटे वेस्टर्न मॉडल और इंडियन मॉडल.
अरे नहीं
तो
यार, ऐसे डिटेल ले जाओ नहीं,
ओके
पॉलिटिकल
ओके
पार्ट तो
the minimal interference of state in religion.
yes, minimal or even you can even say zero. माने although देखो again say political को हमें जिबा कि कोटा water tight अछि कि कोटा कोथरे अछि, इंदी इंडियन टा होची equidistant model है ना. वेस्टर्न मॉडल टा होची completely माने complete separation of state and religion. Then again there is a Gandhian model. चल लास्ट में टिके ऐड कर दे. हमार सोसाइटी में एती बहुत ही बेसिक जिंस हमें देखिया कि गोटे टर्म फ्रेज अछि चर्च स्टेट सेपरेशन. Here church represents religion. Secularism therefore is the separation between state with a capital S and religion. Write this. Secularism refers to the separation of church and state. आमे कहूनु केते डिग्री रो separation, whether it is watertight or it is some that watertight नहीं, there is some level of overlapping. आमे से सब जिंस कहूनु. We are saying in general secularism means separation of state and religion. If you can want to माने तुम चाहो तो आउट के बड़ा डेफिनेशन में लिख परियो. It is the separation between civil affairs, state and other issues. So एथिरे कोन एथिरे गवर्नेंस पार्ट भी आसी होछ. State under रे executive, judiciary, legislature आसी होछ. So separation of this with religion. और ता माने होछ कि ए सब विषय decision will not be taken on religious basis. Decision will be taken on naturalism or natural logic basis. Okay. Church state separation. Now again in polity you will read a few points related to what are the different types of secularism. Again we are not going to get into detail. For example, there is a hard secularism, there is a soft secularism. For example, in India it is called a soft secularism. Hard secularism रो आगर गोटे भलो एग्जांपल थला टर्की हला. आमे एटा सेकुलराइजेशन में पढी. but this is not a polity class, so we are not going to get into detail. What is our concern with? Our concern is ki what is the need for secularism? ଏଇଭଳିଆ ସବୁ society ର ଏଇଭଳିଆ question ଆସିବ. What is the need for secularism? Tell me.
Harmony.
To maintain the religious diversity.
Very good. One is अच्छा harmony एमती कौन single लिखा है हम कहेंगे communal harmony ना communal harmony. What else? Unity in diversity. किसी generic point हमको बाहर करियर अच्छी. It will give equal opportunities. So that means that will indirectly address justice. Okay. Which kind of justice? It will ensure social justice, political justice, economic justice. यार माने कौन? Suppose religion basis रे you are discriminating between different religions. Socially you can discriminate, politically you can discriminate, economically also you can discriminate. Although economically discriminate करे a bit difficult, but in many for example, you can give example of apartheid South Africa. Here communalism was in the sense of community or race. Black people were deprived of jobs also. In political perspective, you can even give example of current day government or example dei pariyo. There is not a single Muslim MP in current union government. Do you know this or not? चलो मुस्लिम तो हमें लिखिया कथा ना माइनॉरिटी कम्युनिटी रो गोटे सिंगल लोक नाहांती बोली फ्रॉम पर्टिकुलर माइनॉरिटी कम्युनिटी रो सिंगल मिनिस्टर नाहांती. The last one was Abbas Naqvi, I think. He was given a maybe I think Minister of State portfolio. Even that was removed, and currently there is not a single Muslim MP. So in theory we have equal opportunities, but is it being reflected in politics or not? It is not being reflected. Okay. Social opportunities. Think of social discrimination. Are different religions facing social discrimination in India or not? Yes, you can debate to what extent they are facing. You can debate, but certainly they are facing. Okay, chalo India case रे suppose it is being very controversial. यदि India रो तुम्हें example दबनी, you can give examples of other countries. You can give example of a country like Rwanda. In Rwanda, there was a massacre, Rwandan massacre or Rwandan genocide. Have you heard of this or not? If you want, you should watch a movie called Hotel Rwanda. Very nice movie actually. Genocide विषय what a movie. Not a nice movie, very difficult movie to watch, but you'll get to learn a lot of things. Okay. And it has seen कि what is माने lack of secular fabric ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ country ର ନଥାଏ ସେତେବେଳେ କେମିତି ପୁରା entire society ଟା ତା ପାଇଁ impact ହୁଏ. Okay. So these are very basic points कि what is the need for secularism. एथिरे you can also write about checks and balance. कହାର checks and balance? Checks and balance is not in the sense of any political or state organ. Checks and balance in the sense of community, inter-community checks and balance. Okay. The community भितरे harmony रहिबो. No single community will dominate over the other. That you can write. There are a few points that you can write. What is the need for secularism? But tell me कि what is the opposite of secularism ताले हम? Communalism. Communalism रो I'll show you one stages of communalism. Okay. What is the different stage of communalism? And this is one aspect taken from prejudice. You can add this point from psychological perspective. What is the level of prejudice which manifests in communalism? So there was one researcher known as Gordon Allport. Allport said that when a prejudice develops in a society, it usually takes place through different stages. The first stage is something known as antilocution, means verbal insults. Okay. The next stage is something known as avoidance. Third is known as discrimination. Fourth is known as physical attack. Please draw this diagram. These are value addition that you can get extra marks. Finally, it is extermination. Now think about how communalism grows. First, how will communalism grow? By the way, you will also be able to relate to this. Think about current society, how you see what is the level in which it is growing. First, what will happen is that whatever is the minority community, people will start making fun of them. So they will make jokes, maybe insults will start out. That is known as anti-locution. Okay. So first it will start with very small things. So suppose then government is not interfering, then it will escalate a bit more. Now there comes avoidance. ମାନେ ଆମେ ତାଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ମିଶିବୁନି, ଯେମିତି for example social boycott, ଆମେ ତାଙ୍କର boycott କରିଦବୁ. You think current day society and you think at which level we are going. Okay, you tell me at which level we are now at. Third is discrimination. What is the meaning of discrimination? Discrimination is when now this thing again ମାନେ action oriented ଆମର ଆଉ ଟିକେ ବଢିଗଲା. When we are discriminating mean on the basis of their religion or community, you are taking adverse decisions, means adverse to their interests. For example, discrimination no good example suppose someone is coming to see avoidance of discrimination with a difference one. Suppose one minority person or family came to your house, you are a owner or you are maybe what a society housing society achi. First they started to live in one of the houses of this society. Now you are also there. First you will see ki you will not even greet them, ତାଙ୍କୁ କିଛି greeting meeting କରିବନି, ତାଙ୍କୁ ଖାଲି avoid କରିବ. So that is avoidance. Discrimination କ'ଣ? Then you will say ki we are going to behave differently towards them, in the sense ki you will also tell others ki चलो एମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆମେ କିଛି help କରିବାନି, କିଛି ଗୋଟେ society ରେ function ହଉଛି ଏମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆମେ ଡାକିବୁନି, କିଛି society କିଛି news ଆସିଲେ even simple news you will not share with them. So this is an example of discrimination. Think of discrimination at the level of politics or at the level of policy. If you are taking a policy targeted only to a certain section of the people, now we can say that for the other section it is discrimination. So then after avoidance it will come, discrimination will come. Even after here, if government is not doing anything, society is encouraged, then you will get to see physical attack on the minority community. Sometimes it is also known as outgroup. In group outgroup एमती definition अच्छी. चलो outgroup एते मन रखें, minority community ऊपर एटा attack हो. And finally there will be extermination. Extermination means genocide. Entire community को मारिया पे plan हो. And one of the examples you can give is one is Rwandan massacre. You can give example of Holocaust. Someone is saying this is one of the biggest genocides ever to occur in history that Hitler had done against the Jews. So this is the level. Now you tell me, where do you think is India right now? Controversial question. Where do you level am I? Sorry? Physical attack. Other people might be offended. Nice, sir. I'm totally किसी नहीं ही actually. किसी problem नहीं, सब ठीक ठाक चल जैसा चल रहा है वैसे चलने दे, है ना? Anyone else? Can you? Which level do you think we are at right now?
But maybe
Anti-loculus.
verbal वाला
Anti-loculus. Verbal वाला
Sir,
रही
it is, sir, it is
So
only
between
existing in Twitter.
discrimination and physical attack.
Discrimination and physical attack. Okay, someone is saying discrimination and physical attack. From your answer itself, I can somehow guess कि कहाँ को level political orientation अच्छी. I can guess. So
But
it's
sir,
okay.
it's
We are
like
not.
from which side? That is the question.
Yes,
Discrimination and
yes.
physical attack.
ठीक है. From my kind of explanation also you can guess maybe which kind of political orientation this person has. So let us not go into politics. हम politics लिखे नहीं, हमको in general हमको एक बड़ा diagram करिए, हमको बस mark आनिया रहे. Don't get emotional at all. ठीक है. Usually reservation politics, communal politics, communalism यही विषय सब पिलाने बहुत offended ही हैं. Any judicial verdicts? Related to secularism.
Sir, Keswananta Bharati is the secularism is the basic structure of our constitution.
Correct. Keshavananda Bharati. इतने कौन कहा गला कि secularism is part of the basic structure of the constitution. What is the meaning of basic structure?
It is in judicial innovation that
Yes, judicial
that
innovation.
depicts depicts the framers of the constitution, the minds of the framers of the constitution.
Minds of the framers of the constitution. हो ठीक ଅଛି, but what is the, that is not the exact answer. Basic structure ର ମାନେ କଣ?
So basic structure means
essence of the
any
constitution.
that is the
ମାନେ
like
ଆମେ କହୁଛୁ ଗୋଟେ ଏମିତିଆ ବେସିକ ଫ୍ରେମୱାର୍କ ଗୋଟେ କନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନ ଅଛି ଯୋଉଟାକୁ ପାର୍ଲାମେଣ୍ଟ ଚାହିଁଲେ ବି ଚେଞ୍ଜ କରିପାରିବ ନାହିଁ, ଇଭେନ୍ ଥ୍ରୋ କନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନାଲ amendment, because this is the basic structure of the constitution, it cannot be amended. Okay. So what did the court define what is basic structure? Basic structure का definition अलग.
No.
No, sir, there is no definition.
Then how do you know which is basic structure or not? तुमको केମିତି
Judicial
जଣା?
interpretation.
Very good. Judiciary in case to case basis, they said कि this feature is part of basic structure, this case is part. जो भी केस रे कोन गोटे आसिला सेटा को ସେମାନେ ଚାହିଁଲେ कि पार्लियामेंट को आमे पावर टाକୁ काटी दो बोली ସେମାନେ କହିଦେଲେ एटा होची basic structure. So similarly secularism was also held to be part of basic structure of the constitution. So that means कि secularism cannot be, माने the aspects of secularism cannot be taken away even by amendment to the constitution. Similarly, if you see another case was there, Shirur Mutt case. In the Shirur Mutt case, Mutt माने एटा हम ओडिया रे जेटा मठ कहन, Shirur मठ गोटे थिला. Shirur Mutt case रे the court gave this verdict that the government can only, sorry, any parliamentary or executive action will be limited to the extent कि religion को केते level ला हमें interfere कर परिया. जदि गोटे religion नो कौन से aspect को हमें essential religious practice बोली जानिबा, essential religious practice, then that will be protected even by the court. If it is not an essential religious practice, then here the fundamental right will take precedence. So court will now protect fundamental right. But if it is known as, माने जदि एटा decide करा कि this is an essential religious practice, then a single person or fundamental right will not take hold. So माने कहे कि एठी community right को प्राधान्य दिया हो, बुझी होची, or any other kind of right, even legal right. We are not going to go into detail about this, but the point is secularism, the concept of secularism has been protected by different judicial verdicts as well. Okay. Now you tell me, what are the challenges to secularism in India? What do you think are the different challenges?
सर जो कम्युनालिज्म रे स्पेक्ट्रम रे गोटे इवोल्यूशन देछि केमती हम इंडिया रे कम्युनालिज्म हेतला तो सेटा सोसाइटी रे रेलेवेंट रह.
हाँ लिखित अछि, even I knew that, but I chose not to tell you that. देखो हमें, if you see this evolution ना, you will see कि evolution केमती start हला. You will start from maybe the colonial time ru. If you start, you will start कि जतबेले suppose हमारो British policy हला divide and rule, you can start from that divide and rule हला. Then you can say कि तापरे जो growth हला parliamentary reforms हला. Then they came जो Muslim League रो one of the outcomes was तारो reaction ने हला हिंदू महासभा. तापरे 1925 around RSS हला, है ना. All of these you can write in धीरे धीरे केमती grow कला. Okay, but point is कि they will not ask you, even in, I doubt whether even in history they will ask you this question. Okay, चलो हिस्ट्री रे पचारि पारंती. यस, GS1 ने पचारि पारंती. सोसाइटी रे एटा कहीं पचरा हो, GS1 ने लेकिन आस्क सर्टेनली. कम्युनलिज्म इन जनरल लेकिन माने 10 मार्कर गोटे क्वेश्चन में भी लेकिन आस्क कि enumerate तो को हवन, describe how communalism grew in India or post colonial India in somehow, or colonial India also. Okay, but society रे एटा कहीं पचरा हो हिस्ट्री कहीं की केमितिया ग्रो कला. Okay, this will end in माने partition गोटे मझरेटा गोटे huge part आसियो partition विषय लिखियो. Then you can even come to post independent India रा कौन कौन होची. Delhi riot कथा recently लिख परियो. You can write about Manipur riots, no? Meiteis versus Cookies, but I doubt whether you will get such opportunities. I mean in general, अच्छा चलो हमें communalism रे few point discuss करता है. बेटा हम secularism चलची, communalism रे discuss करता. Few current affairs वाला examples, okay, which you can write in the exam hall. So then tell me, what are the different challenges to secularism in India? Secularism रो challenge कौन? केते केते type रो challenge ही पारे.
सर फंडामेंटलिज्म गोटे चैलेंज होई परिबो.
Okay, fundamentalism itself is an outcome of lack of secularism. Okay, so fundamentalism in which sense is a challenge? Fundamentalism asla hi ko. Are you able to understand? तो कौच कि फंडामेंटलिज्म इज ए चैलेंज टू सेकुलरिज्म मु कौच कि फंडामेंटलिज्म सेकुलरिज्म न थिलारु तो फंडामेंटलिज्म एटा स्ट्रांग होबा ना यू थिंक ऑफ ए सिचुएशन लाइक अफगानिस्तान कोडी फंडामेंटलिज्म कोडी बेसी अछि अफगानिस्तान टाइप रो कंट्री बेसी अछि इंडिया रे फंडामेंटलिज्म लेवल टा बहुत ही लो ना एंड सेटा कोन सेटा पर्सनल माइंड माने ब्रेन वॉश पई सेटा हेछि व्हाट इज द लेवल ऑफ फंडा इफ यू आर माने एटा बिकॉज़ फंडामेंटलिज्म टर्म इटसेल्फ इज अ बिट डेंजरस तो हमें अभी इंडिया कॉन्टेक्स्ट लिखि दे कि फंडामेंटलिज्म अछि बोली चलो लिखी हम लिखार किसी मना नहीं लिखिद है किसी सेक्शन ऑफ पीपल तो अच्छा ना फंडामेंटलिस्ट सेसेशनिस्ट भी अच्छा मुझे जिनसा कहीं कहूली आ गोटे पर्सपेक्टिव भाव आम जो टर्म यूज करूँ अच्छा हैव यू सीन दिस टर्म हैव यू नोटिस दिस व्हेन वी डिस्कस अबाउट एनी टेरर अटैक्स टेररिस्ट माने आम डिस्कस करूँ आम कहू कि पाकिस्तानी टेररिस्ट आसिले एमती आसिले पाकिस्तानी टेररिस्ट आसी इंडिया अटैक कले हैव यू नोटिस कि कश्मीर रे किसी इंटरनल इशू हुए कश्मीरी यूथ जो अटैक करती आम लिखू कि कश्मीरी मिलिटेंट्स अटैक्ड न्यूज़पेपर आसे हैव यू नोटिस दिस पाकिस्तान आसे पाकिस्तान टेररिस्ट इंडिया रे हेले कश्मीरी मिलिटेंट्स नॉर्थ ईस्ट रे हेले मिलिटेंट ग्रुप्स इन नॉर्थ ईस्ट सो कैन यू थिंक ऑफ द सोशियो कल्चरल पर्सपेक्टिव बिकॉज देयर इज अ डेंजर आमे टेररिज्म वर्ड टा कहां पे यूज करिया आमे यार गोटे सोशल पर्सपेक्टिव भी एटा अछि कि आमे आउटसाइडर मन पे यूजुअली यूज करिया ओके दैट इज द सिमिलर पॉइंट मु कहूँ फंडामेंटलिज्म भाया वर्ड को लिखि पार लिखार किसी मना नहीं but that should not be the first point. What is the first point challenge to secularism in India? The first and foremost point actually should be think logically. It is the inequality. Is it not the inequality? Inequality in various aspects. Inequality in politics, in economy, politics and power you can write, in other kind of opportunities, okay. social inequality. So this is why the reason is because once you have inequality, then there will be feelings of dissatisfaction. When there is dissatisfaction, then there will be communal tension. When there is communal tension, finally got a trigger point asio. A trigger point a कौन trigger करियो violence रे. This is the reason. So it starts from inequality. There are many theories which says that even within inequality, आउ गोटे या आगुरी भी गोटे stage अच्छी that is called as perceived relative perception of relative deprivation. Perception of relative deprivation, PRD. That means actually whether there is deprivation or not, that is a separate point. But even if there is a perception, there is a relative deprivation, not just deprivation, relative deprivation means आम community को less मिलुची, ये community माने सब नहीं यूजन. Then there will be communal feelings. And maybe this perception may not be correct, but still if there is a perception, then this will lead to feelings of dissatisfaction. Feelings of dissatisfaction will lead to communal tension. Then गोटे trigger आसी गोटे single incident में भी हो पारे किए कहा को धरिकी भागी गला ओके एलोपमेंट ऑफ डिफरेंट रिलीजन बेसिस रे हे गला कि कोडी किछि गोटे झगड़ा हे गला सो दिस इज द इमीडिएट ट्रिगर देन दैट विल लीड टू वायलेंस सो फर्स्ट इट बिगिंस विथ इनइक्वालिटी
सर ସେଇଥିରେ ଆମେ ଆଡ୍ କରିପାରିବା ତ perception of relative deprivation and or
yes
appeasement
appeasement दैट आसे गोटे सेपरेट पॉइंट कर देयो perception of relative deprivation चलो एटा मु सेपरेट पॉइंट कर दिली हैला another point चलो आमे एटा को सेपरेट कर देली कि appeasement politics रे we can including vote bank politics है ना that also you can include what else is major challenge to secularism in India secularism को main challenge है कौन
सर
ଏଇଟା
different
ଲେଖିବ
civil codes
कौन
different civil codes
okay great
Let's
very
switch.
nice point different देखो civil code में rather कहे कि differences in or different personal laws. This is an excellent point. Personal laws with ଆସିବ marriage related to personal law ମାନେ କଣ? Marriage, divorce, inheritance and maintenance. प्लीज लिख लिखि चलो एटा बहुत ही भलो पॉइंट ए सब पॉइंट एग्जाम रे ए सब पॉइंट ही लिखियार अछि डिफरेंसेस और डिफरेंट पर्सनल लॉस फॉर डिफरेंट कम्युनिटीज और रिलीजियंस एटा रिलीजन बेसिस रे माने हिंदू हिंदू मानकर पर्सनल लॉ गोटे अलगा मुस्लिम मानकर अलगा क्रिश्चियन मानकर अलगा हला बाकी सब तरे सिमिलर बट पर्सनल लॉस आर डिफरेंट यस समवन सेइंग समथिंग
सर गोटे
Sir,
हे
yes.
परिबो बट एटा टिके एक्सट्रीम मते जणा नै हिंदू नेशनलिज्म एंड मुस्लिम यूथ रेडिकलाइजेशन एटा आई डोंट नो एटा ठीक होबो कि नै
ठीक है डेंजरस हो रादर देन ओके लेट अस फाइंड अ मिडिल ग्राउंड हमें कौन लिखे देखो हमें हिंदुत्व हिंदू हिंदू ऐसे जिनसे किसी लिखा नहीं व्हाट विल राइट की रिलीजियस एक्सट्रीमिज्म और रिलीजियस एक्सट्रीमिस्ट आइडियोलॉजी एबे को रिलीजन आमे लिखुनु ना आमे आमे सब रिलीजन जे एक्सट्रीमिस्ट हो से तो कम्युनलिज्म आडो को जीव ना हिंदू हेते पर मुस्लिम हेते पर सो दिस इज अ सेफ ग्राउंड एबे आमे हिंदुत्व हिंदुत्व लिखिया से लोक मे बी से निजे मंदिर वही बनाएंगे पार्टी ही विल बी ऑफेंडेड सो ही के कि चलो ए पिलार काटी दियो सब मार के तो डोंट डू एनी सच डोंट राइट सच थिंग्स ओके
अरे
यस वन
रेडिकलाइजेशन जो होची बाय जाकिर हुसैन तो सेटा गोटे थ्रेट
हां
रेडिकलाइजेशन
दैट कैन बी थ्रेट करेक्ट करेक्ट रेडिकलाइजेशन सिक्योरिटी रिलेटेड इश्यूज रे हबो सिक्योरिटी रिलेटेड इश्यूज रे कोन हबो radicalization here you can write different way ର radicalization होउचंती radicalization है कि एमती लोन वुल्फ बाहर होचंती radicalization है
सोशल
कि
मीडिया
ये सोशल मीडिया थ्रू रे होचंती आ कोन आ को थ्रू रे होचंती
Sir,
चैरिटेबल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन चैरिटेबल फ्रंट्स माने फैसाड यूज करके होचंती सिक्योरिटी रिलेटेड इशू गोटे वन पॉइंट कैन बी radicalization yes a girl was saying something क्यों ना कुछ गोटे पॉइंट बोली
Sir, fake news.
करेक्ट एटा को हमें कोन कहबा एटा को एटा यूजुअली देखो से जो डायग्राम करथिना एटा ट्रिगर पार्ट रे पार्ट आसी it will work as a
Yes.
trigger correct okay hate speech can be directly it can be directly a cause trigger will be misinformation or rumors है ना yes someone else was saying something
sir, impact of successionist movements like Punjab,
secessionist movement
for example, I don't know how to link this one, but this Khalistan movement that is a
okay okay
general.
khalistan movement right right khalistan movement you can directly mention no issues because this is a mane government जेहेतु against khalistan movement अछि most people are also এটা লেখিয়াটা কিছু controversial no so what we can say कि religion based secessionism है ना or religion based secessionist movement correct एटा secessionist movement रो गोटे सब कैटेगरी हे परियो कि को ग्राउंड रे secession होबा को सब चाहछन एटा religion basis रे होबा को चाहछन correct religious convergence an important part you forgot चलची घर वापसी चलची कहीं चलची because there is accusation कि and that is also true to a great extent कि in many other religious religion or leaders of other religion they are trying to convert some people into their religion traditionally if you see the growth of christian missionary in india was due to this technique only ए टेक्निक थ्रू रे हेतला ମୁଁ एग्जांपल ଦେଇଥିଲି कि नहीं क्रिश्चियन मिशनरीज माने केमिति ट्राइबल एरिया रे केमिति डोमिनेट कले वन ऑफ द ट्रिक्स दे यूज मेनी ट्रिक्स सेमान को बहुत सारा इमोल्यूमेंट्स दबारो कुआ गला सेमान को हम कहले कि हमें राइस फ्री रे दे दू है ना बहुत सारा जिंस हमें तुमको दे दू देन they also use many tricks I will tell you a very funny example this actually happened there is evidence for example what they will do कि माने सेमाने कोन कले एमती जंगल जगह रे जाई जो ट्राइबल माने थे ताको कहले दुईटा आइडल आनिले गोटे होची मे बी हिंदू गॉड कर आइडल another idol is of Jesus Christ then Hindu god कर idol टा actually that was made of wood this idol was made of maybe copper or some metal in the set कि चलो हमें जळे की देखिया कि कहार भगवान बेसी पावरफुल and they converted many people through this also so My point is, I'm not saying you don't write this kind of example in the exam hall. My point is ki religious conversions on the grounds of some kind of maybe what can you say, some kind of emoluments, some kind of enticements, which is different from religious conversions on the ground of change of heart. Now, change of heart hele, this is protected constitutional. Article 25 ଅଛି na, freedom of conscience. So that is protected. But if you are ମାନେ lure କରିକି କାହାକୁ ଆଣା ହଉଛି, that is wrong. So that is also a challenge to communalism. Okay.
Sir, can we add one more point, like unchecked and unbalanced change in demography?
Yes, excellent point. You can certainly write key demographic changes. Kahar example? Manipur रे you can write about Manipur वाला example, right? Okay. Cookies माने जो Christian cookies माने आसिले, and Manipur was initially Meitei Hindu Meiteis माने हटी dominant ଥିଲେ. Now ए cookies ମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ସେଠିକାର local community change ହେଲା, politics ରେ changes ଆସିଲା. So that led to communal classes. That is one example. Think of Rohingya Muslims. Now many of these Muslims, when they started to pour into West Bengal and parts of northeastern India, that led to communal classes in there also. So demographic challenges, no changes, demographic changes. Manipur example you can write. Very good point. Way forward रे हमें कौन लिखिया? Communalism विषय, sorry, secularism विषय, or how to ensure, how to strengthen secularism. Secularism का हम किम्ते strengthen करिया? Tell me.
Uniform civil code.
Very good. Let's divide this into in such a way. One is institutional measure, हम कहेगा institutional measures. One will say कि legal measures. One will say कि specific schemes, socio-cultural measures. Okay. Any other measures? Okay. Other measures. Let's discuss. पीछे जे point खाली थे. Yes.
सर एटा communal harmony तो भी मतलब same question जो होता है.
Same point. Same.
Okay.
Same point को you can invert and you can use the same points ना. Suppose question is on कि how to prevent communalism. This is equal to how to prevent communalism. Na? Same point you can recycle and change. Okay? How to prevent communalism. Same point. Okay? Institutional measures कौन? Institution मान को strengthen करिया. What are the different institutions which are working towards secularism? You can say कि first institution suppose okay चलो judiciary तो हमसे बहुत specific किसी लिखी होगा नहीं. National Integration Council. यार गोटे स्कोप अच्छी. It's a separate matter कि एटा बसे नहीं केबे usually it's a separate matter, but there is a scope for National Integration Council NIC to be chaired by the Prime Minister, and यारो purpose होची कि हमें different community को संगरे आनी की level of हमने communalism को reduce करिया. Seମିତି think of zonal councils. See these points you can also write in regionalism रे भी तुम लिख परियो, communalism रे लिख परियो. Zonal council हेले कौन होगा? Suppose गोटे state रो किसी गोटे issue अच्छी, अन्य state भी they can help them ना, because see Manipur, the issue in Manipur is just not about Manipur. Manipur issue is also affecting Assam. Manipur issue is also affecting Mizoram. So zonal council will be able to help them or not. Think of civil society organizations. हमें कहे कि civil society organizations, CSOs like NGOs can help to strengthen strengthen the secularism, secular fabric of India. Okay. I'm unable to think of any example. Can you give example of any NGO which is working in देखो riot रे बहुत सारा relief दवा को जो मैंने जान दी ना. Just check, there are many NGOs which are giving relief in communal riots. You can mention a few NGOs. Okay. What are the legal measures?
The fundamental duties.
Fundamental duties, excellent. Yes, which fundamental duty is that?
I think
ନା ନା ସେଇଟା ମୁଁ ପଚାରୁନି ଫଣ୍ଡାମେଣ୍ଟାଲ
fourth
ଡ୍ୟୁଟିଜ ରେ କଣ ଲେଖା ହେଇଛି ମୁଁ
to
ପଚାରୁଛି
common brotherhood. I don't
କମନ
remember the
ବ୍ରଦରହୁଡ
exact.
ଏକ୍ସଲେଣ୍ଟ
Yes.
ଟୁ ପ୍ରମୋଟ କମନ ବ୍ରଦରହୁଡ ସେ ଗୋଟେ ସେଇ ସେମ୍ ଫଣ୍ଡାମେଣ୍ଟାଲ ଡ୍ୟୁଟିଜ ରେ ଅଛି ଟୁ ପ୍ରମୋଟ କମନ ବ୍ରଦରହୁଡ ଏଣ୍ଡ ଟୁ ରିନାଉନ୍ସ ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିସେସ୍ ଡେରୋଗେଟରି ଟୁ ୱିମେନ୍ so that fundamental duty ରେ ଅଛି what else is there law କିଛି specific law କିଛି ଅଛି କି secular religion କୁ regulate କରିବାକୁ wait let me check
The
just one
religion
minute
basis रे discriminate करियो.
in general article 15 16 you can write okay 15 and 16 you can write okay एठी national minorities commission there is one national minorities commission there is one ministry of what a separate ministry of minority affairs भी ଅଛି MMA ଅଛି ministry of minority affairs NHRC you can also lodge complaints at NHRC so we'll say we will strengthen these institutions these are the institutional measures okay is there any other policy measures ଗୋଟେ ଥିଲା prime minister's 15-point program for minorities if you see this prime minister's 15-point program भितरे हमु 15टा point जागा लिखियार नहीं किसी major point you can write for example he had talked about madrasa modernization he had talked about scholarship for minority students capacity building of minorities okay all of these generic points you can write okay any specific schemes do you know one is nai manzil there is
नहीं
nai
मंजिल सर
udan
उस्ताद स्कीम नई रोशनी
very good ustad what else nai udan कौन आम जो यूपीएससी स्टेट पीसीएस आउ एसएससी एथिरे जो माने माइनॉरिटी स्टूडेंट माने यार प्रीलिम्स क्लियर करथुए तांको स्कॉलरशिप दिया होछ सपोर्ट by the government itself nahi udan what is the use of nahi roshni this is a leadership
माइनॉरिटी
development
गवर्नमेंट सर
for minority community
सर जियो पारसी
very good geo parsi community ro population level itself is very low population level को do you know what is the level of parsi community in india it is in some 2 or 3% or something but they are also one of the most influential economically they contribute a lot but their population is very low on the other hand if you see the muslims their population is high but economic contribution is low है ना अच्छा एतरो मने पड़ला मोर मुस्लिम स्पेसिफिक कमिटी आमे ए पॉइंट लिख परिया सचार कमिटी ओके सचार कमिटी केतेटा रेकमेंडेशन देथिले सचार कमिटी रो वन ऑफ द रेकमेंडेशन वाज to establish an equal opportunities commission what is the point of equal opportunities commission he said ki this eoc will ensure that equal opportunities are awarded to minority communities for example right now ଯେମିତି ଆମର competition commission of india ଅଛି that ensures there is a level playing field for all companies right similarly this eoc will ensure there is a level playing field for all communities including minority community so you can write this in way forward ki such a committee recommendation of equal opportunities commissions could be implemented चलो एतरे बहुत सारा पॉइंट हे गला सोशियो कल्चरल मेजर्स कैन यू थिंक ऑफ एनी सोशियो कल्चरल मेजर्स सोसाइटी पार्ट रे हम किछि पॉइंट लिखिया सोशियो कल्चरल मेजर कौन हो देखो पैट्रियार्की अगेंस्ट मेन मेन प्रॉब्लम इज पैट्रियार्की अगेंस्ट आमे कौन कर परिया आमे कहया कि पब्लिक अवेयरनेस ड्रॉ करियो है ना पब्लिक अवेयरनेस we will have public sorry
proper communication
communication how will that work communication in the sense
Sir, to alleviate the fear among the
eradicating fake
minority, to make them more aware about the like
schemes
yes.
see so public awareness in general public awareness re bhi likhi pariya okay yes you are saying something else how jane ki pachre kohutile just tell me
से कम्युनिकेशन कथा कहउतले कि ए जो हेड स्पीच आउ फेक न्यूज को इराडिकेशन किंबा तार
okay
विषय
okay बट कथा होची एटा लीगल इश्यू भितर आसी जेमती हम ऑलरेडी न्यू आईटी रूल्स इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी रूल्स एतरे बहुत सारा प्रोविजन अछि टू काउंटर हेड स्पीच ओके सो सेटा सब लीगल मेजर अंडर रे आसी जो हमें सोशियो कल्चरल मेजर अंडर कोच कम्युनिकेशन तो सोशियो कल्चरल ले आसीबनी सोशियो कल्चरल माने सोसाइटी कल्चर राइट्स रिलीजन ए सब विषय रे रिलेटेड आ कोन ही पारे हमें कहि परिया सेलिब्रेशन ऑफ वुमेन एक्सीलेंट सेलिब्रेशन ऑफ वुमेन अच्छा हमर इतरे
सेलिब्रेशन ऑफ इंटर
माइनर
कल्चर इंटर
माइनर
कल्चर माने दीटा जकर फंक्शन मानकर ये करबा
ओके ओके एटा को आजे इंटर ग्रुप कांटेक्ट को फैसिलिटेट करिया पे बाय द वे देयर इज एन एक्सीलेंट कंक्लूजन फॉर दीस चैप्टर्स तो मोर मन पड़ला कंक्लूजन ने सब बळे कोन लिखियो या पे गोटा बढ़िया स्कीम अछि एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत हला जते बळे भी को भी सपोज नेशनल इंटीग्रेशन ऊपर आसीयो रीजनलिज्म ऊपर क्वेश्चन आसीयो कम्युनलिज्म ऊपर आसीयो यू कैन ऑलवेज राइट एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत द पर्पस ऑफ दिस स्कीम is to bring together people and communities of different parts of India so that there is national integration strengthen हो communalism को भी address करे national integration गोटा part ना so you can write एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत you can also end in ଆମର fundamental duties रे भी जो जोटा लिखा है ସେଥିରେ भी end कर परियो okay intergroup contact ଆମେ କେମିତି କରିବା you will say कि suppose ministry of tourism suppose ଯେମିତି ସେମାନେ स्कीम बाहर करछन देखो अपना देश we can say कि देखो अपना देश रो गोटा कंपोनेंट आमे कर परिया कि डिफरेंट रिलीजियस कम्युनिटी को we will facilitate them to get to know each other correct ओके एतिर मन पड़ला कंक्लूजन आउ गोटे कंक्लूजन भी तुम लिखि परियो कि जेमिति एटा पॉलिटी रो डिराइव हिची हला पॉलिटी रे हमें डिस्कस करथले इंडियन मॉडल ऑफ सेकुलरिज्म व्हाट इज द इंडियन मॉडल ऑफ सेकुलरिज्म it is known as something as the equidistant model right equidistant model now we will say ki what we should also opt for ki we can examine to opt for the Gandhian model what is the difference Gandhian model of secularism गोटे अछि गांधी जी कहथिले देखो equidistant model हमें एबे जोटा अडॉप्ट करछु सेतिर को अछि state will remain equidistant from all religions hinduism muslim christianity सबुतरे means जदि तुम हिंदू फेस्टिवल को जदि किसी सब्सिडी दउछो मुस्लिम फेस्टिवल को भी दो क्रिश्चियन फेस्टिवल को भी दो ओके जेमति कि बाहर कंट्री कोन होची जोटा स्ट्रिक्ट सेपरेशन होची सेठी कोन कि स्टेट तो काहा को दे ही परिबेन स्टेट कैन नॉट promote तो कोहा बने स्टेट कैन नॉट पार्टिसिपेट इन एनी सच रिलीजियस एक्टिविटी इंडिया रे कोहा होची जदि इफ यू आर पार्टिसिपेटिंग देन यू हैव टू पार्टिसिपेट इक्वली ऑल्दो प्रैक्टिकल हेडा होनी दैट्स अ डिफरेंट मैटर बट प्रोविजन होची एटा इक्विडिस्टेंट मॉडल गांधीयन मॉडल ऑफ सेकुलरिज्म इज अ बिट डिफरेंट गांधीयन मॉडल कहले कि state itself not only will be part but all the different communities themselves will be part of each other okay so this is a community led model एथरे state एथिर ऊपर रहइबो but community led model न माने होची कि community मान को भितरे इंटर कम्युनिटी हार्मनी मेंटेन करियारो मेन दायित्व कहा ऊपर अछि on the community members themselves and this is actually practically if you see even many administrators have used this technique also तुम एटा जतले एथिक्स रो केस स्टडी रे लिखियो ना केस स्टडी रे भी लिखि दबो कि कम्युनिटी लेड हार्मनी केमती इंटर कम्युनिटी हार्मनी को हम एंश्योर करछु कम्युनिटी लेड मॉडल सपोज को गोटे जगह कम्युनल राइट्स हे गला तो पचारे छी कि एज अ डीएम और एसपी व्हाट आर यू गोइंग टू डू one of the answers would be that I will bring together the community leaders of respective communities. Suppose Hindu leader जने जे तांको भितरे जे respected and elder leaders थिबे, मुस्लिम मानको भितरे respected and elder leaders, okay, Christian मानको भितरे जे थिबे, we will take them into a meeting, we will take them into a confidence, we will take them into confidence and we will say कि कौन कौन आपनको प्रॉब्लम है जे let us tell you, and finally जहाँ डिसीजन हो वो consensus based डिसीजन निया हो. The point is that then these people are supposed to go back to their community and tanko community member mane, because they accept these leaders naturally, therefore they will also accept whatever decision has been taken here. This is one of the, actually this is a very good model of conflict resolution. Conflict resolution में बहुत सारा model अच्छी, this is one of those models. Community leaders मान को नहीं की करेगा था, so this can also be your conclusion, लेकिन any doubt so far? किसी डाउट अच्छी है तो पता.
No, sir.
अच्छा, कम्युनलिज्म, यस
सर से जो
हाँ,
एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत तार कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के आउ टिके एक्सपैंड कर मिस करिगली.
एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत रो काम होची बेसिकली. अच्छा, एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत अंडर करियर कोन अछि डू नो कोन करा होची एक्चुअली? अरे यार, आई डोंट नो व्हाई माय, आई थिंक माय स्टाइलस हैज रन आउट. ओके, चलो कोई नहीं, बैटरी हैज रन आउट. आई विल जस्ट एक्सप्लेन इन जनरल, हम क्लास भी गोइंग टू एंड एनीवे. एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत रे द पॉइंट इज की वी विल ब्रिंग टुगेदर people from different parts. एमती गोटे पार्ट रो सपोज we will have a competition, interstate competition, we will make people from one state to maybe visit another state. So through that kind of social interaction we are hoping ki there will be national integration. That is the purpose of एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत. एक्चुअली कामर सेमती किछि बहुत बड़ा सेमती किछि स्कीम न, बहुत ही बेसिक जिंस ताको ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ नाम देकी ଗୋଟେ स्कीम कर दैछि एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत. तो आम पई भलो ना, आम पई ଗୋଟେ फर्दर पॉइंट मिल गला. ओके, एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? Equal Opportunities Commission, I think in general, if you write about EOC, such a committee report had said that can be an impactful conclusion because most people would not write about it. Sange sang mind was in such a committee report ta asiwa nahi. Okay. If you have any other doubts, please ask. Otherwise, today's class is almost over. By the way, tomorrow we don't have any extra class. I'll update in the group. Bhavudil extra class nebi holi, but I have some of my own work also. So we'll have one more class on the society रो गोटे class हो. ସେଥିରେ ଅଛି population, urbanization and ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଗୋଟେ chapter କଣ ଥିଲା, globalization, impact of globalization. Okay, ତିନିଟା chapter रो ଆମେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ class ରେ ସାରି ଦବୁ. ଏଟା ବହୁତ ଛୋଟ ଛୋଟ chapter ଗୁଡା. So then society part would be over. In general Monday ରୁ ତାପରେ କଣ, Monday ରୁ ଆମର ethics class start ହଉଛି. ଠିକ ଅଛି, same time. Okay, and today's question also I'll update. Okay, any other doubts?
सर आ सिलेबस रे ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन ऊपर अछि गोटे सिलेबस पॉइंट आ
ओडिशा पार्ट रे
रीजनलिज्म.
अछि. रीजनलिज्म, ओके ओके, सॉरी, रीजनलिज्म रही, रीजनलिज्म का रीजनलिज्म छोटो चैप्टर टा मु तारो नोट्स करी पठाई दी. ठीक अछि,
ओके सर,
नोट्स करी
ओडिशा
तारो
पार्ट टा कोन सेपरेटली कवर?
सेपरेटली, हां सेपरेटली कवर कर दो.
ओके
सेपरेटली कवर कर दो, नो इश्यूज. सोसाइटी ऑलमोस्ट हमरो कहया गले मेजर पार्ट टा कवर हे, जोटा मार्क फिचिंग पार्ट उडा सोडा हम डिटेल रे डिस्कस कर दी. आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग कि इफ क्वेश्चन इज कमिंग फ्रॉम, इट विल कम फ्रॉम दीस पार्ट्स ओनली. रीजनलिज्म ऊपर बहुत डिटेल, रीजनलिज्म चलो पठे देबी, सेते बेसी डाउट नहीं. माने मो कहया कथा सपोज अर्बानाइजेशन बहुत बेसी डिटेल पढ़ी बहुत फैक्ट फैक्ट मन रखी कि सेमती किछ लाभ नहीं, एते बेसी मार्क पर आसीबनी. आसे आसे माने क्वेश्चन यूजुअली आसीबो दी वुमेन रिलेटेड. देखो सोसाइटी रे कोन क्वेश्चन आसे, सोसाइटी रो दुई तीनटा क्वेश्चन फॉर श्योर आसीबो. गोटे क्वेश्चन आसीबो वुमेन रिलेटेड, गोटे क्वेश्चन आसीबो फीचर्स ऑफ इंडियन सोसाइटी रिलेटेड, एंड दैट इंक्लूड्स फीचर्स लाइक डाइवर्सिटी. ओके, that includes features like for example caste. ता ऊपर डायरेक्टली क्वेश्चन आसपरे गोटे क्वेश्चन आ हार्डली गोटे क्वेश्चन, हार्डली मे बी अन्य चैप्टर गुडारू आसी. ठीक अछि, डोंट वरी, वी हैव कवर्ड मोस्ट पार्ट्स ऑफ सोसाइटी ऑलरेडी. और अल्प किछि चैप्टर अछि, आई विल कवर इट
सर
मंडे
गोटे
रो.
रिकरेंट
आमे
थीम होची माने प्रीवियस ईयर ओपीएस रे कि माने ड्रग अब्यूज की अल्कोहलिज्म रे माने सोसाइटी रे कोन इफेक्ट होची, सेटा गोटे
ओके,
सबले आसी गोटे.
आई हैडंट सीन इट, बट ठीक अछि, ताको देखि तार गोटे शॉर्ट नोट माने आंसर लिखिया पे तार गोटे शॉर्ट नोट बाहर करता. ओके ड्रग हैबिट और जो एडिक्शन उपरे बहुत बेसी सेमती मटेरियल किसी नहीं बट आमे किसी पॉइंट बाहर करता फॉर एग्जांपल ड्रग मान तार रीजंस कोन देन तार एड्रेस कोन करा जी परियो तार डिफरेंट मॉडल्स अछि साइकोलॉजिकल मॉडल्स बहुत सारा डिफरेंट अछि एमती रिलैप्स हो जाए काहे कि रिलैप्स हो जाए देन आमे कोन केमिति ता काउंटर कर परिया से तार गोटे शॉर्ट नोट बने दी पके देबी ठीक अछि आई डोंट थिंक ता ऊपर बहुत बेसी सेमती किसी स्कीम बीम थिबो बट विल सी
सर जो ओपीएससी रूलिंग पेपर दउची सेट सर अंडरलाइन कले केमिति सर जणा पड़िबो एग्जामिनर की अंडरलाइन करा हिची बोली
दिस इज अ गुड क्वेश्चन इवन आई hadn't thought about it ସେଥିରେ କେମିତି अंडरलाइन करियो instead of underlining maybe what you can do is कि जदि underline करे इशू होछि ना बॉक्सिंग कर दियो ताले छोट छोट टर्म गुडा को यूजुअली कोन एसे रे मु मना करे बॉक्सिंग करिया को एसे रे बहुत बेसी एसे रे कोन इफ यू सी जेनेरिक एसेज आल्सो स्टैंडर्ड टेक्स्ट बुक रे भी देखियो ସେମାନେ फर्स्ट କଥା ହେଲା କିଛି नॉर्मली तो हाइलाइट भी करନ୍ତି जदि आम अंडरलाइन भी करछे ताले भी तो गोटे बड़ कथा आ बॉक्सिंग तो भूल भी करा जाए तेणु से मना करती बट जीएस आंसर यू कैन सर्टेनली बॉक्स जो हेडिंग गुडा ना ताको बॉक्स कर दो ऊपर पार्ट तो एटलीस्ट जाना पड़े ना बॉक्सिंग हिच आउ जदि अंडरलाइन सेते क्लियरली जाना पड़नी ताले मु आ गोटे ट्रिक कहितली जेमति कि कैप्स लॉक रे माने कैपिटल लेटर रे लिखि दो फॉर एग्जांपल सपोज यू आर राइटिंग अबाउट सचर कमिटी को जदि अंडरलाइन करले जाना पड़नी सचर टाको एस एस एच ए आर टाको कैपिटल रे लिखि दो दैट विल हाइलाइट किछि पिला कोन करନ୍ତି मु देखि टिके कर्सिव टाइप रो लिखि दियंती माने जेमति इटैलिक्स रे लिखा हुआ ना प्रिंटेड फॉर्मेट रे बट सेटा भी एग्जामिनर को इमीडिएटली नोटिस करे डिफिकल्ट सो व्हाट यू शुड रादर डू इज कि ताको कैपिटल रे लिखि दो गोटे जोटा तुमर कीवर्ड अछि बाय द वे आई डोंट नो व्हाई यूपीएससी सॉरी ओपीएससी इज गिविंग रूल पेपर रे कोन कि तुम डायग्राम करियर रे डिफिकल्टी हो ना जीएस रे तुम किछ डायग्राम कर दैट इज डिफिकल्ट बट एनी कोन कहया कहार कोन प्रेफरेंस दिस ईयर इट माइट चेंज और नॉट आई डोंट नो हेई पारे कि माने बी रेडी फॉर एनी काइंड ऑफ शॉक ओके हेई पारे कि से एक्जाक्टली यूपीएससी पैटर्न पूरा बुकलेट भी तैयारी कर देबे बाय द वे यूपीएससी जेमते आगरो किछि दिन आगरो गोटे स्टैंडर्ड बुकलेट रो पीडीएफ बाहर करे हाउ टू फिल अप बुकलेट्स ओपीएससी जेमते करे आई डोंट नो इफ एनी ऑफ यू माइट हैव नोन एमते
करेनी किछि
भगवान भरोसे चली सब ठीक अच्छे कौन कर जस्ट फॉलो दिस मेथड ओके जो पार्ट टारे तुम हाईलाइट करियर अछि राइट इट इन कैपिटल लेटर्स ओके ठीक है गाइस
Yes,
तो
sir.
वो
Hello.
यस गो ऑन
In women issue, can we mention the rape victim case?
हाँ यू कैन मेंशन व्हाई नॉट सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट को गोटे सब पॉइंट करके यू कैन मैंने जस्ट गिव वन एग्जांपल मे बी निर्भया केस एमती लिखि दी परियो ओके
Yes, sir.
certainly you can write one point
Okay, sir. Thank you.
any other questions okay ठीक है guys then we'll again meet directly on Monday from Monday onwards we'll have ethics classes ठीक है we'll see you again take care
Thank you, sir.